Hello, everyone. And after a short break, we are back with Day with Zenler Part 2. And a part of our education team is still left to share their amazing insights and knowledge. And the second part of Day with Zenler is going to be moderated by Liz, and I'm going to be there supporting her and listening all the insightful information that our education team has to share. So over to you, Liz.
Thank you so much, Manmeet, and thank you to the whole team so far that has shared for the morning. It was absolutely awesome, and your moderating compare duties have been fantastic. So
thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Okay, so for your surprise session with me this afternoon, we're going to be looking at mind maps, and I was looking for something connection, communication were two things that kept coming up with for me when I was starting to consider what to share with you. And I know I've touched on the mind maps before in a little bit of one of my previous Day with Zenler slots, but I wanted to go a bit deeper into them. So what I'm going to be doing in the session is just sharing how and why mind maps are amazingly, amazingly effective, really supportive, to help you go through your own creativity, to help you really go deep into the knowledge that you already have. And also you'll be able to share this with your students within your own courses. And towards the end of the session, there'll be an opportunity for you to start creating a mind map on a certain aspect of your new Zenler work. Could be your new Zenler site, could be your new Zenler course, could even be something to do with, looking at where you're going to start advertising and promoting your services, just tying in with Kevin's slot earlier. Or it could be something to do with the stories, following on from Manmeet's awesome story challenge. So in the back of your mind, just like your unconscious mind, just like your, that bit of your brain, just mull over in the background what aspect of your new Zenler work you might want to do a mind map on towards the end of the session. Okay, so a mind map. Now, I don't know what that brings to mind for you. So mind map, and for me, a mind map is beautifully useful because it's working in a similar format, a similar layout as a brain cell. So when we're looking at mind maps, we're going to be replicating that same kind of visual structure as a brain cell. We're going to be doing that, obviously, with your own information. So this is a very rudimentary image of sort of what a brain cell will look like. So you have the central part, and then you have all the little tiny branches coming off the end. And the way that a mind map is really supportive is that it works in that same process. So when we're looking at mind maps, you're going to be looking at your central word, your central phrase, your central picture, and then we're going to be working out into branches. And the way that the mind map really supports us in going deep in our creativity is that it's following the way that our brain is laid out. And we like to learn things in this way, and we like to draw on things in this way. And so the more that we're able to tap into a similar structure as to how the inner workings of our brain go, the easier and more effortless it is, and the more efficient it is to tap into the infinite memories, the infinite power of your brain, because your brain is immensely powerful and you're gathering information all around you all the time. Your brain's constantly filtering, deleting, changing, and generalizing that data that it's bringing in every single moment. And so for us to be able to really tap back into what our unconscious mind has been pulling in all around us, and that's from sessions like this, so live sessions online, from any reading that you've done, any other websites, any audio, any images that you've seen. You're constantly taking all of that information in through your senses, And a mind map is a really nice way to start to tap into what you've gathered up about a certain item, a certain subject, in such a way as you can really process it easily. And you can go down layers and layers deeper in a really easy and effective way. And one of the ways it works so beautifully is that our minds work really graphically. So they work really well on things that we see. They like things to be laid out in a kind of a connected way. So when we're speaking, we're using like linear, oh, I've lost my word. So we're using like a linear process of the brain. When we're speaking, we speak in words, we speak in sentences, they go on to make paragraphs, conversations. And the brain is amazing because it can work in that way. And that's with like the left side of your brain. And if we pull in also the right side of the brain, that's also bringing in all of the graphics, all of the images, all of the symbols, the numbers that we use on our day-to-day as well. And the mind map is working in this organic way. So we'll have our central thing here, and then we're going to branch off around the edge. And a really easy way to start the mind map is to have your central, your keyword or your key image, and I'll come back to what they are in just a moment. And then to begin with, we're going to make sure that we'll have 10 little branches off the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And these initial branches will be thicker branches because these are going to be the words that come immediately to mind. So they're going to be of more importance. And then once we've done those 10 like really strong words that are feeding off the keyword, we then will branch off into other things. And words can come up, and at the time they come up, you may think they're ridiculous, but bear with it and you'll be able to write them down, because the connections that we make sometimes, they don't consciously make sense to us, but there's always a reason that they've popped up. And that word may well unwrap and trigger different words underneath, and different memories, different wisdom, different information that you can share in your courses, in your clients. Or it may be, as I said earlier, that you're going to be looking at, where you're going to be sharing your expertise, where you're going to be giving support, where you're going to be doing leads and things like that. So whatever comes to mind, don't judge it, go with it, trust yourself, trust the process, and just let it be easy. So when things pop up, just note them down and that will be perfect. So we've spoken about how mind maps can support you. And again, as I was just mentioning, they're really good for triggering memories. And memories are how we store so much of the information that we take in. So we have, whatever information we're taking in, and we're taking it in through our sight, through our very rudimentary nose, looks a bit like a parrot, through our taste, through our hearing, and some hair, and then also through our touch. So all of our senses are all taking in that information all the time. And as I said earlier, it's being deleted, distorted, generalized, and then that is going to form an internal picture. And from that internal picture, we get our memories of events, of, whatever's happened. And then from there, we're going to feel certain things. We're going to have our emotions, our feelings, and then we're going to have our behaviors here. And the sections that the mind map is really pulling on is in here, is these memories. And it's also the related emotions and behaviors, and then the information that we've gathered. So the resources and things like that. So they're all coming into us at every moment. And the mind map is a lovely way to get into them so that it can support us when we're creating our courses, our sites, just thinking about what our ideal customer is looking for and how best to support them. Okay, so going with the mind map is a really organic and a really dynamic way to be drawing on the information that you've got inside of yourself. And it can also be a really useful way to save time. Because when we're working with the mind map, we're going to be working with keywords and key images. And when we're taking in all of this information, and certainly for me, when I was a student and even in old meetings and things, I used to take the minutes and I would write down every single word that was said. So I would end up with a huge commentary of things. But a vast amount of that information was actually irrelevant, because the way that our minds are working is with key words. That's how we put things together. So our brain isn't working just like word by word by word. It's working with the big words that cause us to choose to feel something, the big words that go along with pictures, with images, with sounds, with different senses. And that's the way that we're actually holding all of that data inside ourselves. So when we're looking at the mind map, we're working with those key points. So it's the keywords and it's the key images. So actually 90% of the words that we might be writing down if we're taking notes are actually irrelevant. And it's just that 10%, those really weighty words, those weighty images that are actually going to support us as we're moving forward with creativity, with sharing wisdom with other people. Okay. And also with the keywords, the key images, they're going to be associated. They're going to have links between them. Like we saw with the little brain cell, you've got the little branches coming off, and some of those little branches are going to connect up with each other because they're going to be related themes. They're going to be related subjects. It may be, if we go back to Kevin's psychotic cat, it may be that they're related with the cats. It could be something like that. And so each of those little branches coming off could actually then be related background. And when you then have those associations that pop up between them, that can trigger and unlock extra information, extra ideas within that area of creativity for you. And where we spend a lot of time writing out all of the notes without just looking at the keywords, the distance between those keywords gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you have a bigger distance between the keywords, the really important bits of information, they tend to get lost and diluted. So if you are taking notes, then bullet point notes are brilliant for this and can really support you then in the future with the mind maps. And also have a go at taking notes in the mind map format. So if, for example, you were taking notes on Alice's surprise session next, as soon as she shares her subject, you can put the subject in the center. And then as she starts talking and she's sharing different things, you can have your branches coming off. And then from there, the little details of each branch. Again, if you record them just as the keywords, or if it's easier for you, the key images, it's going to be much more supportive when you come back to look at your notes to actually move forwards with whatever you're going to be doing with her beautiful surprise subject later. Okay. So what I'd like you to do now is just to close your eyes if it's appropriate and safe to do so. If you're driving, absolutely do not close your eyes, although you probably wouldn't be in the Facebook Live if you're driving. But if it's safe to do so, then close your eyes. If not, pop back and do this little activity again on the replay. Okay. And I'd like you to bring to mind the leaves on a tree. And as you do so, just look really deeply at those leaves and have a look at how they're constructed, what they look like, what they feel like. and how they sound as a gust of wind just blows gently through them. And then clear the screen and open your eyes and come back into the room. Now, for each of you, your experience of that will have been completely unique. And I spot beautiful Manmeet here. So I'm just going to see if she would mind sharing with us what her experience was of the leaves on the tree.
So for me, I think for a moment I was away from all the kind of, if I may say, noise, because in the entire day we have, like you were talking about, we consume a lot of information from the internet and from people talking, from our own observations. So for a moment, when you told me to close my eyes, I was away from all the noise, and I thought that I was just in that moment, maybe in that garden, focusing on that leaf. And I when you said to focus on how the leaf looked like or what it did, so I could focus on, like, when we see a leaf, we are able to see the veins or the lines that are on the leaf. So my focus went on that also, because you were explaining it that way. And then later on, when you told me, when you said that, focus on how the breeze goes by when the leaf moves. So a part of me could feel that little breeze and that leaf moving. So that's how I felt. And if you would have continued for a little while, I think I would have fallen into a nap.
Oh, amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it can be so
Always.
relaxing.
Yes, totally. Like I said, if you would have continued the way you were and with that smooth voice, dropping into my ears, I would have definitely fallen into a nap. Yeah, on live recording, I would have fallen into a nap.
Perfect. Well, I love relaxing people, so it works for me. Thank you, lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Okay, and I'm sure that for each of you, and absolutely, drop your experience of that in the chat, because it's going to be different. Everybody's experience, everybody's memories, those internal representations, those triggers, when I just shared that word, the leaves, then they're all going to be different and they're going to be unique. And whatever has come up for you is absolutely perfect and beautiful. And so each of those connections, you could easily put them into the beginnings of the mind map. And also by using, the leaves and looking at the veins on the leaf, as Manmeet was sharing with us, that's how the mind map is working. So it's following the organic shape that our brain cells work in, that our whole brain works in, how it's organized. It's also following the organic shape that we see out in nature. So in the leaves, in the branches, we've got like the tree of life and how things are all interconnected. And by drawing on these natural things, it just supports you within the flow of your own creativity. And as course creators, we're very creative in that way. And looking at the different ways, and easy and effortless ways to really help support you in that creativity is definitely one of the things that we love to support you with, along with calming you and giving you a little bit of peace on a Friday towards the end of the working week. Okay, so as we're looking at mind maps and we're going inside the brain and drawing on that information that you've got in there, so just looking back at what Manmeet was sharing, those are all bits of information that she has absorbed, all different experiences and inner representations and memories that she's formulated throughout her life, and they will continue. So if I were to ask her to do that same activity in, say, a year's time, it's going to be completely different experience that she's going to go through, because she will have had more experiences, that have added up onto that. So there'll be even deeper layers that you could go into afterwards. And the brain works with, the memories that we hold, and it works with color. So had I asked Manmeet, there probably would have been specific colors that came up at that time. It also works really well with number. because numbers are symbols. And again, that's images. Again, with the senses, so Manmeet could feel that beautiful cool breeze, that gust of wind, just gently blowing over. So it's pulling on your senses. Also the words. And again, it's the keywords that are really triggering us to feel things. And the keywords will again be different for each of us, just based on what our own experiences have been with the language we've grown up with, the environment we've been in. Words are going to mean different things. Another way that our brain really works to help kind of hold things together, and Manmeet mentioned, is rhythm. So the rhythm of my voice, and it's quite calming and it's quite soothing, you know, in that little visualization, and also with movement. So we're natural creatures and we naturally flow, and our brains and our memories and our language is exactly the same. And I don't know if sort of like myself, when you were younger, you may have had to learn some like poems or a piece of writing, you know, to recite at school, something like that. And it always supported me to kind of have a bit of a rhythm going, and even like a bit of a movement. And if you think about really young children, when they're learning their first performances and things, they're adding rhythm and they're adding movement, sometimes song, music, into whatever they're learning. And it's the same with yourself. When you're going through the mind map, absolutely feel free to add a bit of rhythm, a bit of movement as you're going through it, because it's going to help you unlock extra layers of connections and triggers, which are just going to go deeper into the work for you and opens up those paths. So we like patterns, we like order. And so by diving deep in with the mind map and bearing all of this in mind as you're going with your mind map, it's going to really support you. And a final thing that's really going to help when you're doing your mind map is laughter. And this is the same if you're learning or if you're remembering anything. If you can make something like drawing a happy experience where you perhaps were laughing, something like that, you're going to find that those experiences, those keywords, those key images are going to be really strong, because we really work well with that. And at the moment, there's a bit of a trend on certainly reaching out in social media and having like jokes and memes and things like that, because we respond really well to it and it's really memorable. And what we remember is what we are attracted to, or on the flip side, what we really definitely don't want. So what we're absolutely trying to avoid. But so bearing that in mind when you're putting together any sort of advertising, and if that's the area that you're working on with your mind map, is just remember that we're attracted to things. So make your mind map beautiful. And that could be color. You can add pictures, images in there. As you're writing your words, you know, you can kind of change the size of the writing. So for example, if we were starting with the leaf in the center, you can have a little leaf picture that it's coming off. And then as we're branching off, we could have like branch, and you can just make, you know, the letters get smaller. So that's visually more appealing than just writing it, because if I write it all the same size, although again, this is personal preference. So for me, this one's more appealing. For you, it may be this one. So work with your own personal preferences and make sure that the mind map that you're creating is appealing to you, because it's going to support you to get deeper and trigger more things the more interesting you make it. So as I said, different colors can really support. So if we're then coming off here and we're perhaps doing like a stem, and again, you can just work around with the colors, with the shapes. You can have images come off instead. So if, for example, it was flower was the next word that came off, you could just draw the flower. So it gets to work with you, and whatever comes to mind, as I often say, is absolutely perfect for you in that moment. So go with it, because it's your mind map and there's no specific rules. It's just whatever's gonna work for you and just help unlock those layers of interconnected words and facts. Okay, so the next point that I'd like to share with you is another quick exercise, and then we'll be able to move on to you having a go at your own mind map on whatever aspect of your New Zenler work you would like. So the other visualization that I'd like you to do is just get really nice and comfortable. Again, close your eyes if it is safe and appropriate for you to do so, and also if you're happy to. And then I'd like you to bring to mind an image around the word cat. And notice what you can see. Notice what you can hear. Notice what you can taste. Notice what you can touch. Notice how you feel. And then clear the screen and come back into the room. Okay, and I notice I have the beautiful Manmeet here again. Thank you, lovely.
Always.
So what did you notice?
Okay, so I think you started with saying that notice a cat. So I saw this white, furry little animal coming towards me, because I have, never had cats or kind of been with cats too much. So I think the static stereotype image of a white furry cat came into my mind. And then I think you said, notice that what does it taste like. So I couldn't really understand that, why would I taste a cat. So I was like, I don't know. And I was blank at that question, because I was like, okay, did I hear it? And I started doubting myself. Did I hear it correctly? Was it a cat? Have I missed anything? So I was doubting myself if I was able to concentrate or not. And then when you said that, how are you able to feel? So I felt as if, I'm touching the cat, and it's like a very smooth kind of a layer on the cat. Generally, when we touch very smooth clothes, so we get this cotton feel. So I was getting that cotton feel by touching the skin of the cat. So that's what I
Amazing.
felt.
That's fabulous. Thank you, lovely. So I've started with that as like a very beginning. Ooh, my green screen. So I've started with that as the beginnings of the mind map. So we've got our central keyword here, and I've popped a little very rough cat face around the edge. And then for Manmeet, it then led into white, and then furry came off there. And then from what she could actually touch and feel was the smooth. So I've gone with like a smooth, just change the structure of the letters there. And then off that came cotton. And again, your experiences there will have all been unique. And it just shows again that you're drawing on your own personal experiences. So Manmeet hadn't had a cat, had much experience with cats, and obviously hadn't tasted a cat. And for some people, things may have popped into mind, like it could have been like, for me in that moment, it was like a dryness. Like I know cats have got a really dry tongue, and it's just what came up for me. But again, if one of your senses, if you're drawing into it, it's absolutely fine if there's nothing there, because it is odd if you unpack that at like a conscious level. think of a cat, what do you taste? Oh, I don't know. For some people, it could be like cat food might come up, or, who knows? But
We
it's
do
just,
have two experiences. Hannah
oh,
says a
yes.
flurry, furry tail and warmthness, but always smell like a wet feather. Probably the psycho cat. I'm not sure if she's sharing her experience. And then Krishna is saying, same here. She felt as if it was meant to be a cake.
Oh, now writing fairy taste.
I think
Fairy
I think I've seen it in some of the web series that we see on Netflix. That supposedly there is a culture, or there is a habit of licking your cat or tasting your cat. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. Oh,
Okay.
well, if that is a habit that you have, then you would know what a cat's fur tastes like. So
Oh no, I'm
if
saying that I've seen it in like the movies and the
yeah,
web series that people who kind of pet cats usually do this. So that's why you said that taste a cat, or was
no,
it
I
like just?
was yeah, I was just pulling on your different senses. So
Oh,
just going
okay.
through them all. So if obviously you go to that sense and there's nothing there, that's absolutely fine. If you've also watched that Netflix series, you may have had the experience from that series come to mind. So you may have put yourself in the position of the people that are doing that. And obviously, if it's something that you do, I guess it's like grooming them, isn't it? Because they groom themselves with their tongue. So I guess it's following along with that. So if you have groomed your cat with your tongue, then you would know what that tasted like, and you would have that as an experience.
I wouldn't like to.
Very, very. But then even just thinking of it, I think, oh, I can imagine what that would taste like, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Krishna says, reminded me of neighbor's cat, Missus, who follows her around all day and waits by the door if she goes out. Then I thought that's a loyal pet. And I started thinking of my dog if she does the same. So I think thinking about the cat, she got to her dogs.
Yeah, that's
That's an
beautiful.
experience of another kind, is it?
Exactly. Well, that would still come on here because that's branched off. So it's a connected thing. So if you were doing a piece of work on cat, that could be appropriate because somewhere along the line that could be useful for you. So yeah, anything that comes up, anything that comes to mind is perfect. Note it down, because you never know, it might unpack extra things underneath. So yeah, like the loyalty between the two animals, that then becomes like a link. So you've got like the loyalty here, and then obviously you can branch off from there. So it just unpacks things in like a really natural, organic way for you. Okay, so now it's over to you, lovely people. So anybody who is here on live and anybody who is here on replay. So at the beginning of the session, I said there's going to be a part at the end of the session for you to work on your own mind map in relation to an aspect of your own New Zenler work. So now is the time to draw on it and to make your choice. What are you going to base your mind map on today? And apologies if you can hear a really strange noise. It's my dog and he's dreaming. I don't know if it's
That's
coming
absolutely
across.
okay. I think it suits the topic well.
Yes, exactly. Maybe I'll do dog. Yes, so pick what your key word or phrase is going to be. And then I did say that I touch on the key image. So again, it's just whatever comes to mind when you think of that keyword. So for example, if I were to have dog, then just what immediately came into mind was a dog's bone. So I'd have in the center of mine, I just pop a dog bone, and then I'd put my word in the center, dog. So it could be dog course. So perhaps I'm going to do one on a dog course. So if you guys would like to go over into your own areas and start creating your own mind map. So first step is to put your keyword or phrase within a key image in the center. So I give you just a few moments to do that. And then if it's possible, if you're here live and doing it, if you could note in the chat, and I think Manmeet has eyes on the chat, if you can let me know when you have all completed that step.
Also, Liz, like if you would, help us that how do we decide on this keyword? Because, as you said, there's loads and loads of information that we consume. And when we come down to selecting something, that becomes a bigger task. So like right now for me, I have so much in front of me and in front of my eyes. I don't really know how to pick up that one keyword. So how would you suggest me to do that?
Close your eyes.
Okay.
And yeah, pretty much everything I do comes to this because it's all connecting in with yourself.
I think you're in the full complete, posture that you'll put me to sleep today on this session.
This is going to be super quick. Stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. Okay, so just when you bring to mind your new Zenler work, what is the first aspect you would like to work on? And just let me know when something has come to mind.
Okay, so is this supposed to be the tasks that are assigned, or is this supposed to be a part of my work that I enjoy doing the most?
It's whatever came to mind first. Did anything come to mind, or was it just the question?
Yes, I think, should I say the answer?
Yeah, of course, if you're happy to.
Yeah. That'd be meeting new people.
Awesome. That's beautiful. So that's going to be your central thing. So the meeting new people. Yeah. So absolutely trust yourself, and you can open your eyes, lovely lady, and come back in the room because I want to keep you awake. We still have more session to go.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, so whatever first comes to mind, there's no right and there's no wrong in this. Whatever comes to mind first is what your unconscious mind would like you to do the mind map on. This is an extra little exercise for you. It wasn't planned for you today. So just jump in with whatever comes to mind first. And certainly over the process of all the work that I do in here, you'll be building trust in yourself.
We've got one other comment. Krishna says, fire. Don't play with fire. It's red and fierce. Misunderstood a fire within. Can be love and passion, or can be anger and jealousy. Fire outside can be good and bad. So I think that's what she got from the exercise that you were talking about right now.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
That is amazing. And there's lots of words there to begin your mind map with.
Yeah.
So once you've got your central piece, so my meets will be meet new people, which is beautiful. Then the next stage that I'd like for you to do is to do 10 keywords that come to mind as you consider that. So as you consider that item, just think of 10 keywords. The first 10 things that pop up would be perfect.
Meanwhile, Liz is writing her keywords. We would love to know from Hannah and Krishna, who are participating in this activity, what are the 10 keywords that came to your mind? So I think if you ask me from the topic we had selected, if I have to think about the 10 keywords, then probably it is going to be, I think, live. Like one aspect of it is going to be lives that we do. Am I audible? Okay, so the first keyword I think is going to be the live sessions that we do. Second is going to be social media. Okay. Third is going to be, of course, people. The fourth is going to be content, because that's how we get connected. The fifth is going to be a lot of images, pictures, and designing. The sixth is going to be all the electronics, the lights, the system, the headphones, everything that we use. Okay. Seventh is going to be like tracking, reporting, and maintaining the emails, Excel sheets, and all of that, so that we know that, where we are heading with our work. And I think the ninth is going to be the lovely team that I'm part of. And the last one, of course, I think what comes to my mind is Zenler logo. So I think those are the 10 things that would come to my mind if I have to think upon that keyword.
I love it. And have we got anything else in the chat?
Yes, we have. Hannah selected her keyword to be ideal client. And I'm sorry, I think the central keyword. Is that right? Do we call it the central keyword?
Yes, you can call it the central keyword, the key phrase, anything that you like. Just center, just the middle of your mind map. However you want to describe it is perfect.
Okay, so for Hannah, the middle of the mind map is going to be ideal client, and then the supporting keywords are snail, stuck, back, lost, up, down, compass, door, begin, and create. So there are a few, it is for me personally. Hannah, when you say door, begin, up and down, so what does it actually signify? Liz, maybe you're able to,
Yeah, and that's perfect. So whatever's come to mind is perfect. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to go through each of those 10 words and just notice what comes up for you. So then in relation to, so you ask yourself, in relation to whatever your central topic is in here, and then you take that first word. So for me, in relation to dog course, what does behavior mean to me? And from there, we'll then branch off and we'll get some more words come off. And if there are words, for example, tongue, bark, then there may be something else that comes up in the middle, like noise. So if something then comes up which relates with those two branches off, just tag it in the middle. Oh, as a little connection. There we go.
We also have the activity from Krishna. She says she has some business in the middle with the fact that the business is rising. And the keywords, the supporting keywords are her, mother nature, intuition, energy, movement, source, God, faith, trust, and love. Beautiful. And Kevin says, love mind map.
Woo. Awesome news. So yes, so your next stage in the activity is to go through and for each of your 10 main keywords coming off your central keyword, just have a go and get at least 3 words that are branching off for each one. Should be able to do that. And then again, if any come up that are kind of interconnected, add them in as well. So
we have one more, Liz. We have Jim coming in, one of our regulars. He's also posted his activity. So his main keyword is entrepreneurs, his niche. And then his supporting keywords are freedom, service, wealth, time, networking, control, helping people, creativity, on your own time, and money.
I love it. So again, just for each of those sort of 10 words coming off your central one, just have a go at adding another 3 little ones. So we're just going a layer deeper into the detail. And what you may find is you uncover a few which kind of tie up as little connections. Okay.
And I just have one question popping in. Once we, design this mind map, once we have written the supporting keywords and our main key phrase, is there a way to kind of do an analysis of what we've come with, and how to use that analysis to be more productive, or maybe be better in ourselves?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is when we've completed it, and I can recover this again in a minute when everyone else has completed. But what you're then going to do is you're going to have this mind map, and I would suggest that you then pop it away, come back and look at it again the next day. And when you come back and look at it the next day, you're going to be just noticing which of the words and things kind of pop out at you. And we're going to cover, however many layers we have time to do today, but you can then go and you'd branch off each of these as well. And you're going to keep branching off until you've exhausted, what comes up for you. And if you start getting things repeating, move on to the next branch. And then when you've got things repeating a lot, then, you've got what you need at that moment recorded down. And then again, when that's complete, come back, and I'd give it like at least overnight, because it gives your unconscious mind time to be working in the background as well. And then you're going to come back with a fresh perspective, fresh eyes. And at that point, that's when I'd go in and if you're going to be using color and things like that, use that. And you can highlight the key things for yourself. And you can then go from this and then start to plan whatever area this is that you're actually working on. And purely by going through this whole mind map process, you're going to find that creativity is going to be running and flowing for you far more easily, because you've just unlocked all of this stuff which you're carrying with you all the time. And it's why a big reason that we're called creators is we've collected all this experience, all of this wisdom, and we're like, hey, okay, we want to share it with other people. And this is a really nice way to actually see, wow, do you know what? I've collected a lot of information about this, and from that point, if it's a course that you're creating, you've got some areas you could then look at modules. You could then look at, chapters, you can look at classes, live webinars. If you're looking at it from, the ideal client, you can then go, right, okay, so I see this ideal client. You can then start to go, well, where are these people right now? Going back to the sessions earlier, and you can begin to draw into those areas just based off of this. This is like a research for you. It's like an inner research project. You're just drawing on your own information first, and you can then see, you may want to reach out and do some more research in other places. You may want to it may be that stuff has come up on here that you can reach out to other people for support on. So the mind map is, it can be used for everything. So any like problem that you want to solve, your next project, your next goal, any of it, you can use the mind map to support, your first planning stages, your first resource stages, your first research stages. Again, even just putting together like an idea as like a beta course, you could then take what you've got in here, pull out the key things that you think, yeah, these my potential audience would really like. You could even put that into your email marketing, like Kevin was speaking about before. You could do a poll on it in a Facebook group. There are so many different ways that you can draw on whatever information you've kind of uncovered here that's going to support you as you move forwards. And if anyone's got questions, absolutely drop them in the group, and I can come back and address them later, or we can address some of them now.
I'll just take a look at the chat if there are any questions, but I would definitely have, I think, a few questions. To begin with, do you suggest this? Does somebody need practice to adapt to this? Or is it that whenever you sit at it, you will be able to get the results you want? Or is it once a day you should do it for one of your goals so that you become habitual at doing it to get better results? So how do you suggest practicing this?
Yeah, so it's going to be personal. Everyone's going to approach it in a different way. So for me, before I do any presentation, any sharing of anything, I will do a mind map. So today I have a mind map. And that supports me as I'm going through and I'm speaking out, because it's quite easy, if you like to talk, it's quite easy to go off on a tangent somewhere. Yeah. And this is a beautiful way to bring me back and just make sure I've covered the key points. So for me, I highlight the areas where there's activities for people to do. So I'll put like a little star next to it. And then I know that's an area that I'm going to say, okay, guys, right, this is a little job for you to do here and now. So that's one of the ways that I differentiate it for myself. So yeah, you can use it for anything that you want to be going like deep into, or at any point if you get stuck on something. A mind map is a really nice way to start unsticking yourself, because you do know, whatever you're doing the course on, you've got a lot of information, a lot of experience within that subject. And again, if it's something that you're not sure on, as you go through the mind map, you'll start to uncover and realize how much you know. So you can absolutely, you can absolutely draw on it. As you said, you can practice with it if you'd like to. And especially if you're not used to like asking yourself or trusting yourself on how you're feeling, this is a really nice exercise to start building that self-trust, because you may find to begin with the ideas and the pictures that they're not flowing as quick as you'd like them to. So absolutely practice it. And if you only get a few words to start with, that's absolutely fine. You can put it away, you can come back to it another time. So you can step out the room, come back to it, again, straight away. You can come back to it another day. And actually, this would be a great thing if you're stuck, on doing this. You could pop into like a Zen zone and just say, hey, I'm doing a mind map on this. And I got to this point and I got a bit stuck. And we can just give you a couple of words and then it will support you to flow better. But yeah, certainly the more you practice it, the more confident you'll be with it, the more confident you'll be in trusting yourself. And anything that comes up is absolutely fine, because this is your mind map. This is how your mind works. So there's no right or wrong. There's just whatever comes up for you, because that's how those memories, those ideas are connected in you. And you've not chosen to connect them like that. That's just naturally and organically how it's happened. So there's no need to judge yourself for anything that comes up. And also sometimes things come up that perhaps you've been ignoring. So there may be some issues and things that pop up, some problems that pop up for you and some barriers and things. And this will help you uncover them. So my map is getting to know you on another level. And I know for some people that can be uncomfortable to begin with, because we get busy and stuff and we don't always check in. We don't always listen to ourselves. We're very much just doing what everyone else is doing. We're doing what we've been told to do. So this is a nice, simple exercise to start you getting to trust yourself and celebrate what you uncover, because this is showing how amazing you and your brain are. So use that as like a celebration of what you know, of what you've collected. Have I answered your question?
Yes, absolutely. We have two more questions coming in. Kevin asks, how do you get in the right frame of mind for doing mind maps? I think even I would want to know the answer to this.
Yeah, of course. This is really simple. So before you start a mind map, I would suggest you just do a really quick, 3-second reset. So just clear your mind. And the 3-second reset that I use personally is just breathe in for the count of 1. And as you're breathing in for the count of 1, just say in your mind, breathe in for the count of 1. And then breathe out for the count of 2. And as you do it, just say to yourself, breathe out for the count of 1, breathe out for the count of 2. And that's taken you like roughly 3 seconds. And you can interrupt any emotional state in 6 seconds. So complete that twice. And even if you're in a historically frustrated or negative state, repeat that 2 times and you're going to be disconnected from that old feeling. So that's going to give you like a clear space to begin from. And then just take that moment like we did at the beginning of the exercise. Just close your eyes if you're happy to do so, if it's safe to do so. And I wouldn't suggest doing a mind map when you're driving anyway. So make sure you are in a safe position to do it. And then just ask yourself, in the context of whatever area of your new Zenler work, or even whatever area of your life you're working on, in the context of this, what is the very next thing that I want to work on? And whatever comes up for you, just trust it and roll with it. So this is a personal connection exercise. It's also, an exercise to take you along in whatever area of your work or your personal life that you want to be working on.
I'll definitely give it a try, and I'm sure everybody who's listening to it will definitely give this a try. Hannah also has a question. She's saying how to formulate a sentence from the words. Any suggestions?
Oh, what words do you mean? What are you formulating?
I think she means the keywords, like the 10 keywords that we've, from the main key phrase, we are bringing in 10 more keywords. So I think her question is that if we have to kind of, build a structure or maybe like pull out some meaningful information, how do we do like a sentence from all the words that have come through? I think that's the question from what I understand.
Okay. So it depends what the sentence is for. If it's just to to connect these 10 words together, I would look at them and see which ones kind of jump out at me. You could have a sentence that incorporated them all, but odds are out of that 10 keywords, there's probably going to be a few which are more heavily weighted. So for example, the words that just come out for me here were behavior, calm, and home. And it's on a dog course. So I'd say, this is an amazing dog course, which is going to support the behavior of your dog to create a calm home or to create calm at home. So something like that. So I definitely, if it's a sentence about, the central item, I'd have, that within the sentence. And then I just have a look at which of the words really pop out at you the most. But again, if you have a Facebook group or if you're, interacting in a Facebook group, you could absolutely have that as like a little poll and say, these are the keywords, and just get people within there who are, going through whatever problem you're solving, get them to tell you, like, connecting with the audience in that way. People love to vote. They love to feel that their opinion is, actually going towards something. So if it's that kind of thing, because you were working on your ideal client, Hannah, then I'd suggest that, start getting some other interaction. And if it's just on your own bit, the pre-planning sections, go with what's popping out to you the most.
I think this is a very effective technique, and I've learned something absolutely amazing today. So I'm definitely going to try this, especially for my coaching programs, and see what can I unfold. Thank you so much, Liz, for sharing this beautiful, beautiful technique with all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, lovely.
And we see Alice is all right here. Hi, Alice.
Hey, Alice.
Hi, you all. How are you?
Really good.
We're good. How about you?
Fabulous, of course. I have my Zenler cup full of coffee, so I'm good.
I see I'm the odd one out here. I'm in white, and both of you are coordinating today.
I actually really love the orange color, especially like it's summer. So it feels like the right color. And of course, white is a staple for summer too, right? So I feel like we all have the summer vibe happening. Okay, it's good.
We're bringing the sunshine.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Bring on the sun.
Woo!
So yeah, it's been a great day with Zenler. I caught up, I watched a bit from this morning a little while ago, saw Rakesh talking about some of the updates. I was watching Kevin as he was presenting about how to sell your courses. And I was on early to catch a bit of what Liz was talking about as well. So it's been a great day with Zenler. Love it. Exactly.
It's been a fabulous day with almost, just we really wish David was here, but all of us, catching up and like the entire education team being there on a day with Zenler.
Yes, it's a lot of fun, right? I'm here every month with David. So, and actually I think Manmeet and Liz, you've been on quite a bit too with the day with Zenler. So we've kind of have a team vibe happening and we love that, right?
Team Zenler.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So today I decided to talk about virtual summits. And so I'm not going to be talking about how to set up a summit in Zenler specifically, because that would take a really long time. And that's something that we are planning on doing, running a bit of a challenge around summits coming up in the future. I know that's something everyone is interested in, but before you're setting up something inside of Zenler, there's some key things that you need to know about setting up for and preparing for a virtual summit. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to talk about today, is how to prepare for it. When it comes to using Zenler, there are probably, I've personally seen and can think of and have kind of tested out like 5 different ways that you could run a summit inside of Zenler. So one of the things I would say before we get started talking about the system would be that doing a virtual summit in Zenler can be as simple as setting up a course and each lesson is a speaker. And it could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to set timers and funnels and have one popping up here and there. There are a lot of ways to do it, but setting it up as a course, and if it's recorded, just putting each video in a lesson. If you're running it live, put that live into each lesson. And it could be as simple as running it that way for your summit. So you don't have to complicate it. You don't have to get fancy with it, because the most important part of your virtual summit is, number one, that you, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today that I'm going to walk you through. But most important thing is that you have the right summit, that you're hosting a right summit to the right audience, that you're giving them great content, that you have great speakers. Like, that's the most important part of a summit. Obviously, we want to reduce as many technical difficulties as possible. So that can be an important piece of it too, which is why it's important to start where you are. And for your first summit, setting it up in a course and just running each lesson as a speaker is the simplest way to do it, where you can actually take action on that. Because at Zenler, we're really, really keen on you being able to take action, and the less complicated that it is, the easier it will be for you to actually take action on putting together a summit for yourself. So that's really important, I think. And with that, I do have some slides to share. So I'm going to share my screens to share my slides with you all. And feel free, team, if you're going to hang out here or not, feel free to chime in. Type in the chat. People can ask questions. It can be interactive, even though I'm using slides today. Happy to answer any questions as well. So are we ready? Want to do it?
Woo, awesome. Beautiful, okay. Fabulous, Alice. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, and I'm going to shut my camera off so I'm out of the way here and make this a little bit easier to see. So we're going to talk about 5 steps to growing your audience with virtual summits. And these 5 steps are really going to take you through the things that you need to do before you actually just run the summit, right? Before you're trying to design your pages and set up your funnel and all of those fun things that we love to do. We need to be prepared first, right? First and foremost. So first of all, what is a virtual summit? A summit's an online conference, and it's a place where you and other experts will share your expertise with your audience. So this can be done virtually, like via video, but I've also produced summits that were audio summits, right? So there's platforms like Clubhouse, and it used to be Green Room. I know they changed the name to something else now, but from Spotify. So there are a lot of audio options to run a summit, as well as video-based options. So virtual summits can be anything that's happening in the online space and is not something that's in person, right? So that's really where the virtual part of the summit comes in. And then when it comes to conference, it can be any event, right? So your summit, your conference can be a 1-day event. It could be 3 days. It could be, I've seen them at 5 days. That's getting a little heavy there. That's a lot to manage. But a conference, even if it's just 1 day and you have a handful of speakers, that's you gathering together some experts to talk to your audience. And that can be an online summit too. It doesn't have to be, just like how you set up a summit inside Zenler doesn't have to be complicated. How you run the summit doesn't have to be complicated either. You can start with a 1 day, and then as you grow, you can add days on. As you grow your audience, as you grow your network, you can go from having a 1-day summit to having a 3 or 5 day summit, if that's what your industry and what your audience wants. You can certainly do that, but you can start and keep it simple. There's no set amount there's no standard number of speakers. There's no standard number of days in order for it to be considered a summit or an online conference. So what are some of the benefits of doing a virtual summit? These are just a few, right? So you can grow your audience, and you do that by leveraging other speakers' audiences, right? If you have 10 people and you're all promoting a summit and getting people to register, then you're all collectively able to bring in new audiences for each other. So you can grow your audience, which is the same when you're in a virtual summit. There are some list growth things that you can do. And so now you can also be growing your specific list, whether you're the host of the summit or even a speaker at a summit. You can then use that to grow your list. You can earn money directly from the summit. So if you have a replay, a lot of people will do replay access or VIP access and offer extra bonuses to people who buy a ticket. So you can earn money directly through that. Though what I will say when it comes to earning money directly through that, that's not necessarily the biggest money maker ever. Really, if you're hosting the summit, one of the key things that you're going to want to do for yourselves here as a Zenler member is you're going to want to direct people to your courses, right? That's really where you want to take them, is to buy your course or join your membership. But so the ticket sales aren't necessarily a great money earner, but they can add to your revenue. It can be an additional revenue stream. You save money on conferences, right? Planning an in-person, I can tell you, I have done, I've run a lot of in-person events, from fundraisers to conferences, all sorts of in-person events, vendor events, things like that. And it's a lot more time consuming. It costs a lot more money to host an event like that. There's a lot more overhead expenses, but also as an attendee of a summit or a conference, the travel expenses for, transportation, hotel. You have to, most in-person conferences, there is a ticket fee for, because they have to try to cover their overhead cost. So there's a lot of ways to save money. And it's not just saving money, but if I am, I'm a mom, so I have kids and school and I have responsibilities. And sometimes it's really hard for me to take enough time off so that I can travel to attend an event and all of those things. And if 2020 taught us anything, it's that, the future is much more virtual than it is in person, and that there is a place for virtual get-togethers and virtual working in the world. There is a place for it and it's growing. So there are a lot of benefits to planning and hosting virtual events. Industry connections. I feel like this one is one of those underappreciated benefits of a virtual summit, because you as the host are a leader that is gathering other leaders to speak to an audience that's interested in this industry or this topic, right? So, and you're the leader of that. And so you have an opportunity to build these industry connections, and those connections can benefit you in a lot of ways, right? So the connections can benefit you in ways of new partnerships that you have. It can benefit you with affiliate programs. So your speakers could become affiliates for your program. You could get additional streams of revenue by affiliating for those speakers programs, right? So it can be a two-way street. Please do not discount the benefit of having that affiliate relationship, or even just a referral relationship of somebody knowing and trusting you enough that they would send business your way. That could be a big deal. I know people whose entire businesses were built just from that referral. So building those connections and relationships can be really, really important. And then you have your audience relationship, right? So you're gathering together a group of people who are experts in their particular fields and on their particular topic, and you're curating that for people. That's a really great way to build an audience. And in that event, you're giving a talk that's providing them value, and so you're building that relationship in that way as well. So there are a lot of really great benefits, and these are just a few. And sometimes what will happen is one benefit sort of leads into another. So whether you're aware of it or not, some of these benefits are happening even if you haven't planned for them. And so one of the biggest things you want to know is that planning and knowing what all these benefits are will better able you to leverage those benefits for you and for your business and for your speakers, right? Because when you're hosting an event like this, you want to be in it not just for your audience, but also your speakers. Your speakers become part of your audience as well. So you want to make sure that this is a great experience for them, on top of it being a great experience for your audience. And I think a lot of people also miss that part. You have to understand that your speakers are just as important as your audience. And so number one thing is you want to set a goal before you get started trying to create your summit funnel. You want to sit down and you want to have a goal. And I know we talk about, I feel like we say this all of the time at Zenler, here at Team Zenler, it's all about the goal. Clarify really what you expect to achieve with a summit. Look at how hosting a summit is going to benefit your business, right? And be specific. Right? How many people do you want to register for this summit? Right? How many speakers do you want to have? Get really specific on some of the details, and then look at what your overall goal is going to be, right? How are the results going to tie in with your overall business goals? And be able to, I like to say one clear goal, one big clear target, but just like those benefits, how they all sort of tie in together, a lot of your goals are going to tie in together as well. Achieving one will actually help you achieve the other. So you can have, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of sub goals, but identify that one main thing that you want to do, because then you're able to take that one main goal and make sure that all of those other goals are in support of that one main clear goal. That's really important. So just some examples, right? So if one of your goals is to have that expert status, maybe like with Kevin's example of a cat trainer, maybe you want to be the world's global cat expert. Like that is your goal. You want to reach cat expert status. And so you want to make sure that you're choosing topics that play to the strengths of that expert status. One of which is just hosting that summit and gathering together other cat experts puts you in a leadership position and a position of authority, right? So just in that way, you're already on your way to achieving that goal. Maybe you want to earn money. So you are wanting to sell your courses. You want to sell that cat course. That's another goal that you have. Well, selling that cat course and having a lot of people buy into that course and talk about how this is the greatest course ever, that really plays into that expert status, right? Because now you have all these people saying how great you are at it. So you have that one main goal, and then you have these other goals that you still want to achieve, because on your way to global cat trainer domination, you need to make some money. You got to keep a roof over your head and put food on the table, right? So you want to earn that money, and in the process of earning that money through a course that then demonstrates your expertise, really supports that main goal of that expert status, right? So you really want to dive into that and look at what is that main business goal that you have, and then what are these other goals you have, and how can those other goals support you in that main goal. So write down your specific goals for your summit, identify how it's going to fit into your overall business goals. That's the number one thing that you need to do before you start planning your summit, right? You have to have that down, because that is going to give you direction. And we need direction when we're doing something like this. This is hosting an event like this is a large scale investment in time and energy and resources. So you want to make sure that you're starting from the best point, and that is starting with your goals. Okay. The next thing you need to do here is we need to start looking at your tech. What is this essential tech that you're going to need for your event? Now, you're going to want to look at the tech that you already have. Listen, I'm a huge fan, some of you may know this already, of things like AppSumo, which is a place where you can get lifetime deals. What happens on AppSumo stays on AppSumo. Not going to talk too much about it. Just kidding. It's a place where you can get lifetime deals on software. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've bought software on there because I'm like, ooh, this is going to come in handy. And then I forgot I had it. Okay. So go back in to take a look at what you have so that you know what you have and you're not investing in anything new, right? And the same thing with the tech around your house. See what you already have that will be beneficial to this event. And part of knowing what that essential tech that you're going to need is are you holding this particular event live, or are you going to do it pre-recorded? Right? Because there's pros and cons to both of those things. It can also tie into your goals. What is your goal? And that might guide you, just sort of depends on what kind of business that you have, that might guide you, right? If you're a video expert, or you're a video editing expert, then maybe those pre-recorded events where you edit and add in some fancy things sort of play into your industry and your niche. But if you're an expert live streamer, then maybe you want to go with a live streamed event, right? So depending on your industry, your niche, what your goals are, it might help you determine even the foundation of, is this going to be live or pre-recorded? So here's some things about the live. It's a little harder to coordinate a live summit. Things happen in people's lives. So you have 20 people lined up to speak. There's a good chance a couple of those people are not going to make it. So you have to have a backup plan for those things. There's a lot more real-time glitches, internet connections. I live in Florida. And so June 1st, we began hurricane season, and that doesn't end till November. So right now I could pre-plan, even if you plan out a summit months in advance, like I cannot pre-plan a hurricane. So if there's a hurricane, if there's a major storm and there's power outages, then I don't have power, right? So things will happen. And what you have to do is you have to look at what are the potential problems in coordination? How good am I at coordinating this kind of thing? How good am I at preparing for these potential things and dealing with them on the fly? And being able to help you decide what your level of expertise with this is, right? Between the live and the pre-recorded. Now, one of the benefits of hosting something live is that you get that real-time engagement and communication with your audience. If you have a pre-recorded summit and it says, okay, here are these pre-recorded videos that you can watch on this summit, there's not as much of a sense of an urgency. It's kind of like, yeah, I'll get to that. Whereas if somebody that you know and like is about to go live and share with you, and you have an opportunity to ask questions and comment and engage with them, you're much more likely to set that specific time aside to say, ooh, I'm going to be, I can't attend this all day live summit, but you know what? Liz is speaking at 10 a.m. and Manmeet is speaking at 11. So I'm going to make sure I block off those 2 hours so I can see them live and engage with them. Right. So you have more opportunity to have that happening on a live summit than you do with the pre-recorded. And there's also hybrid events, which we haven't really covered here. But one of the things that I've done in virtual summits that I've produced is there's recorded speakers throughout the day. And then we have a live panel discussion at some time in the day with those speakers. So you're incorporating both live aspects and pre-recorded aspects to help pull your audience together at a specific time. So there are benefits. And with pre-recorded videos, it's a little easier with less chance of technical problems, right? If every speaker is recording their sessions ahead of time, you get the session ahead of time, you get to see it. You get to make sure that it's up to your standard of how you want it to be, and then you set the tech to run yourself. So there's less chance of those technical issues happening live, but there's also less chance of someone not showing up because there's a hurricane or a power outage, or, because somebody got sick or something happened, right? So there's less chance of all kinds of problems when it's pre-recorded. When it's pre-recorded, though, you have to consider that if, sometimes I can't tell you how many courses have we all bought and maybe not even finished them. It's because they're there and they're there whenever we want them. So we go back. One of the things that you can do with the pre-recorded is you can limit access. So these are up for today. After today, you have to buy that ticket, right? So that might, for people who don't want to buy a ticket, that might drive them to get the videos watched right now, or they can buy a ticket so that they have longer term access. So that's one of the things that you need to decide. Live, pre-recorded. Lots of pros and cons to decide there, right? You hosting your virtual summit. Now we're talking about hosting a virtual summit. For people who don't know about Zenler and don't have Zenler, it's so sad for them, because with Zenler, you don't have to worry as much about that, right? You have a software that will run your summit live, because you have live streaming live classes, live webinar types. You have all of the live management aspects that you need to run right inside the system. And so you don't have to subscribe and pay for a specific system that will run it live for you like that. So you don't have to worry about it. Huge benefit. There are other software things that you need for summits in general for hosting anything video based, and we're going to talk about those as well. Same thing with pre-recorded. Where are you going to host that? Hey, guess what? Zenler. You're going to put those recordings inside of a course, inside of a lesson. You also want to think about your recording. You want to think about editing your videos as well and how you're going to do that. And even with the live aspect, if you're going to offer a replay, you might want to, you're still going to need to look at what you're going to do to edit those videos so that they're specific now for a replay audience, right? Recorded audience. So needs, you definitely need a camera and a microphone if you're going to do live. And I will say this, a lot of people will attempt to use their just native computer audio without having headphones or microphone attached to it. And what happens is if there's other conversation happening, and we see it with Zenler all the time in videos, right? If there can be feedback when another person talks through the other person's thing. Whereas if you have a headset, that doesn't happen, right? If you have in earbuds even, you don't get as much of that feedback. And here's the thing with your needs for your camera and your microphone. It's not just you as the host that you have to think about what kind of camera and microphone you have. You also have to think about your speakers, right? You have to know that they have the right camera and the right microphone as well for their sessions, right? If it's pre-recorded, you can see their video and reject it and be like, no, that's nowhere near good enough quality. The audio is breaking up. You have to redo that. But if it's live, you don't have the you have to have a backup plan for what that looks like live, right? And how are you recording this, or how are you doing it live? Are you going to be moving around? Depends on your industry and what you're doing, what kind of equipment you're going to need. So you want to think about that ahead of time. You definitely invest in an affordable microphone. There's a lot of them out there. I have a specific one. I have the Blue Yeti that I use for podcasting and for recording videos for courses. When I'm on a live stream like this, I tend to just use earbuds because it's easier and I don't have to worry about background noise as much, or that feedback loop if I'm not using my earbuds. Consider lighting. Lighting can be the nemesis for a lot of people, and your lighting doesn't have to be perfect. That's another thing that you want to think about. There's some key things about lighting you want to think about. You want to make sure you have more light sort of in front of you. And you want to make sure that you don't necessarily have light coming in from behind you, because then it kind of wraps around you and creates you in a shadow. So that can be a problem with lighting when you're on video, but it's not, it's not necessarily detrimental, but you want to be well lit. You want people to be able to see you, because if you're on video, the whole point of being on video is that they see you and you connect with people. When they can see your expressions and they can interact with you, you can build a better connection with them. So make sure of the lighting for you, and you want to talk to your speakers about that too. Software needs, so things that you're going to need to record and edit your videos. There's things for like Zoom, which is how we're doing this right now, right? We're running this live through Zoom because we can do that through Zenler. For editing, there's things like ScreenFlow, Camtasia, there's Pictory, there's Descript. These are other types of software. I really like Pictory and Descript. I use Descript because I can upload the video and I can actually edit my video based on the text. It does this transcription for me. So you're going to want to look at what you already have, what's out there, what's within your price range, because after you record these videos, you may want to edit them and add some bits in or take some bits out to make them more consumable as a replay, as a recording. Marketing. So you're also going to want to think about marketing with Zenler. You don't have to worry about it, right? You know that you already have that payment processor. You know, you have your landing and registration page. You know, you have your membership and your course program. You know, you have all of that all in one. There might be some other tools that you want to consider for marketing, whether those are software that helps you post to social media and things like that. You might want to look at other kinds of tools. So definitely take stock of the tools that you already have. Like, what do you have right now that you don't have to go out and spend money and buy something else, right? What do you have? Research all of the tech stuff and all of the tools. Take free trials and things if you can. And really test out the tools to make sure they're what you need, especially when it comes to editing software for your videos, because there's a lot of video editors out there. And one person will say, oh, this is the easiest, best software I've ever used. And then another person will get in there and go, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I don't know. I can't use this. I can't understand this. Right. So everybody has their own unique way of processing and seeing how something works. I've seen a lot of people say, this is the best, easiest software ever. And I get in there and I'm like, I cannot even. The learning curve for me on this one is just too much. I need to move on to something else, right? So test them out for yourself. Getting referrals from friends, from people in your network is great, but take the free trial, test out the editing tools, make sure you know how to use them so that you can do that more effectively. I mean, another option is to hire somebody. That can be an option too. It's more costly to do that, but if that's something that's important to you, then you can do that, right? And just think about, for your particular summit and the way that you're going to run it and how you're going to run it, are there any other tools you need, right? So by planning ahead, by thinking ahead, you won't have you'll have less road bumps, let's just put it that way, or potholes, right? Okay, so now let's talk about brainstorming your topic, because now you've set up some goals, you've kind of decided whether you're going to do it live or pre-recorded, you've looked at your tech, you kind of have an idea of what your situation is there. So now we want to look at the theme of our summit and talking and finding potential speakers. That is what we need to do. So first, you want to consider, and Liz gave you a really great presentation on doing these mind maps, and these are a really great way to help you brainstorm themes that focus on your particular industry, your areas of expertise, that help you solve that. What are the problems that you help solve? Looking and doing some research about what are the current trends in your market? What is a thing that you could actually teach people how to do? And then working out your topic in that area. So like with Kevin's idea, let me see, can I go here? Right. So you want to find a specific topic that has wide enough appeal, but also that is targeted enough, right? It's a delicate balance, that is targeted enough that people will know it's for them, right? So like with Kevin's cat trainers, right? You can, is there a specific kind of cat training that you do? Is it specific to certain breeds of cats? Is it types of training, what kind of cat people, right? So you want to really look at it and appeal to cat owners, but is there a specific kind of cat owner that you want to appeal to, and how you're going to come up with that specific kind of overall topic for there. So you want to brainstorm a short list of ideas You want to research your market. You want to consider ideas. You can even research if there's other summits and events in your niche that are talking about a particular thing, and potentially identify a gap that you don't see covered when it comes to that. And you do want to try to be specific. So one example that I like to use is like marketing. Marketing is such a wide range of things for a summit. So if you're going to do a marketing summit, maybe it's going to be instead of marketing, this is the great marketing summit. It could be email marketing. Maybe you can niche it down even further to email marketing. Maybe you can even niche it down even more to email conversion summit, right? So you can get specific while still being wide enough, because everyone who's doing a form of marketing probably needs to know email marketing. That's a thing. So you can get really specific with it while also keeping it open enough, right? So you want to brainstorm that. And Liz had a great training on those mind maps, as I said, and I think that's a great place to start when it comes to mind mapping sort of your topic and your theme and how that's going to look for you. Right. So now you're going to find, now that you have your theme and you have that situated, you want to start looking at your speakers. Who are you going to have speak at your event? You also have to decide how many people you want at this event or how many speakers. So under 20 speakers is really the most manageable. But like I said, there's not a one stop. There's not a one way to do a summit. It's not, if you have less than 20 speakers, it's not a summit. If you're hosting it for 1 day or 3 days, obviously, if you're hosting a 3-day summit, you need more speakers, right? Than if you're hosting a 1-day summit. So maybe 10 speakers is your sweet spot, and that's what you find manageable. That's still an event and that's still doable. And once you run it, then next year you can run it again and you can have 20 speakers, right? So each iteration of a summit that you do can get bigger, and you can add more into it as you learn and grow with your summit, right? And as your audience and your network grows with you hosting a summit, because that's sort of a natural thing that will happen as you're hosting events and doing stuff. You're out there more, you're more visible, you're networking more, you're growing your audience more. So you're going to grow, your event's probably going to grow as well, right? And you want to make sure that your speakers are highly relevant to your topic, right? So if you just want to make sure that they're connected to the topic, right? If you're hosting a cat summit, you're not going to have the people from the person who's a fish expert in aquarium. Well, I don't know, maybe if they're going to tell you how to give your cat fish, but you're not going to have the dolphin trainers there at your cat summit, right? Your cat training summit. So just make sure they're highly relevant to the overall topic. Right? So make a list of topics for speakers to choose from. This is one way. If you know people in your industry, a lot of times what happens is speakers will just randomly say, this is the thing. You want them to be able to pitch ideas to you of what they want to talk about. But so for a cat summit, for example, you can talk about nutrition, right? So that could be on your list of topic ideas for people to speak about is cat nutrition. On the topic idea list for them to speak about could be grooming, right? Could be their cat claws, right? Could be something around potty training and litter box training, right? So these are topic ideas that you can give to your speakers, and then they can pitch ideas to you as well. Be open to that, because a lot of times your speakers, this is your network and you're building relationship. A lot of times they may think of something that you haven't thought of, and you just want to be open to that. So that you can have this really great event, right? Because there's always going to be a topic that you did not think about, or a spin on it, or a take on it, or a perspective that you haven't thought of. And so you can really leverage your network and your speakers to help you make this summit really something special by getting all different perspectives on it. But giving them that initial list will really help spur their creativity, because sometimes staring at a blank page is really difficult, even for the most highly trained person. But if they're starting from a little list of inspiration, then they can come up with a million things, right? I know that happens to me all the time. Finding your speakers. So think about who you already know in the industry that you can reach out to. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is just to post a thing out to the world and say, hey, sign up for my summit. And it's just a whole bunch of random people that you don't know. So the first thing you want to do is make a list and specifically invite those people to apply to be as part of your summit, right? Then you can find speakers on social media as well, right? There's all sorts of speaker and podcasting groups and summit groups and places where you can find speakers. So you can certainly do that. There's directories out there for virtual summits that you can search. You can use Google to find people in your area who are well known in your specific area. So there are a lot of options to finding speakers. You just want to make sure, again, that they're highly relevant to what you're doing. Right. So, and here's what you can do. You tell them about your summit, right? You tell them you know enough about them, right? This isn't a cold pitch. Hey, I see you're a cat trainer. Do you want to be in my summit? Like, be a little bit more personal. Take the time. If you don't have a large network to reach out to, and you're going to be sort of just pitching to certain speakers, tell them about your summit and do a little bit of research on them and what they do, and tell them authentically why you think they'd be great in your summit, right? And you can tell them the benefits of your summit. If there's a particular thing that you're doing, if you're paying your speakers, which I highly recommend, if you're profit sharing with them from ticket sales, any of those things, you can tell them some of those benefits. You can tell them if you already have other speakers lined up, how many people you already have in your audience that they'll be exposed to. There's all different sorts of benefits that you can tell them about to help them make a decision on whether or not they want to speak at your event. Right? So make your list of topics that your speakers could cover. Make sure you allow for flexibility, give them a space to pitch ideas to you as well. Make a list of people from your own network that you know that you could ask directly. Do a little bit of research on your industry or your niche and find people maybe that your audience is already following. You can even do a poll with your audience to ask them who are their top cat trainers that they follow. And those are people you could reach out to, right? You want to be able to create some sort of an email template request that you can send out to these speakers that you're just discovering out there, right? And you want to make sure that you've done enough research on this person that you can specify why you think they would be good, because generic, cold, non-personal emails do not work, right? The cold DMs, yuck, no thank you. So don't do that. Don't do it. Right. And then the fifth thing is you want to take action, right? We're really keen on that here at Zenler. Take action, make this actionable for yourself, right? Start making a schedule for yourself. A virtual summit, you may think you could throw it off in a couple of weeks, but that generally doesn't happen too well, especially for your first time. But you can start planning a summit in as little as 4 to 6 months in advance. A lot of the big summits, the big virtual summits, in-person summits, they literally, if they were having their summit today on June 24th, like planning for their next summit begins on June 25th, right? Like that is how a lot of these summits work. It's 12 months in preparation, because the thing you have to think about is, especially when you are less known in your industry and maybe you have less known speakers that are speaking at your events, then they probably have a more flexible schedule. But the more you grow, the more people that you bring into your world, and rising tide rises all boats, or whatever that saying is, right? As your audience starts to grow, as your network starts to grow, and everybody starts to become more well-known, one of the things that happens is that you're booking out, even podcasts are booking out 3 to 6 months in advance to have those spots in there. So people have their schedules and their events and their marketing plans mapped out for months in advance sometimes. So if you're not planning and getting your speakers booked in at least 6 months in advance, in some cases, you may not get that speaker. So you want to start to think about what that looks like for you and planning it on the calendar. I know, like, we're this instant gratification society, and it's like, ooh, I'm going to run a summit and I want to run it in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. It doesn't always work like that. Not if you want to have a really great event. You are not going to be able to pull it off in that amount of time. There's a lot of moving pieces in an event, and it takes time. Right? So make a detailed schedule, get your tasks, give yourself a deadline for each thing. Make sure that you've buffered in time, right? One of the things that I happen to know for myself is, if I think it's going to take me an hour, there's a good chance it's going to take 2, right? So make sure you give yourself plenty of time and buffer for each of the tasks that you have, right? So things that you're going to want to include when you're looking at buffering your time is if there's any learning that you have to do of your tech tools, right? And all of that testing, because there is a learning curve. Like, maybe you have to learn how to edit videos because that's not something you've done and you can't afford to pay somebody, right? So consider that when it's time to make your schedule and your plan, right? Creating a very detailed agenda of your day, of your speakers, all of those things. You want to make sure that it's very detailed, so you know all of those nuances, like how are you transitioning from speaker to speaker, those type of things. Like, are you doing interviews? How are you doing this, right? You want to create a marketing plan. You want to make sure you're producing content that helps you build a buzz. So for example, if you're doing the CAT Summit and you have different topics in your summit around nutrition, around grooming, right? You can be producing content around nutrition and grooming and using that to help you promote the summit, right? So there's lots of things that you can do to create a buzz around those topics and around your summit, right? And make sure that you create a follow-up plan. You need a follow-up plan. How are you following up with people? And what's next? You always want to be thinking about what's next. What's the next step? You really need to make sure that that's included in your plan, right? So create a detailed action plan with deadlines, make that timeline for yourself, make sure you're giving yourself a lot of buffer in there because it's probably going to take longer than you think it's going to take. It always does. So give yourself the time that you need to learn and grow and do all of these things. Okay. And I'm also going to share with you, let's see. So here's the 5 things, right? You're going to set your goals. You're going to make sure you know all the tech. You're going to brainstorm your ideas. You're going to find speakers, and then you're going to take action, right? So those are all of the things you want to make sure you do before you start building out your Zenler funnel. Make sure you're doing those things. Okay, so I am going to stop sharing my screen now. And see if I can, I'm going to try to look, oops, let me get back on camera and see if there's any questions that have popped up. I don't know, Manmeet, do you have it pulled up? Are there any questions? And that's okay. I also want to cover, there's a handful of things that I would say are some of the types of mistakes that people make when they're running a summit. So, but go ahead, Manmeet. Is there something somebody's asked?
So far, we do not have a question, but David has been putting all the pointers that you were sharing. I'll just refresh the screen once more and see if there are any questions coming. And if you're
Okay.
still watching it live, please put in your questions. Alice is here to answer all your doubts in creating a virtual summit.
Yes, yes, yes. So a couple of mistakes that I see people making all the time, whether they're hosting or participating in a summit, is one of those last points we were talking about, which is the follow-up. There's not a lot of follow-up. When you're creating your plan, the reason why you want to think ahead, it's so important to think ahead, is because on the day of the summit, if you have 10 speakers, right? And say Manmeet here is going to come to the summit because she has a cat that she loves and she's coming to this cat summit. And there's 10 speakers at the summit. And so Manmeet looks at who the lineup is and she says, you know what? These are the people whose talks I'm really interested in. This applies to me. So she out of those 20 speakers, those 10 are the ones that she really is interested in seeing. So she's going to watch their videos or watch them live. And then what's going to happen is those speakers are going to have a call to action and they're going to say, hey, go get my checklist, go get my ebook, go get my thing, right? And they're going to lead them somewhere. So now Manmeet has 10 people in her inbox at the same exact time that she has all of these other people in her inbox, right? 10 of them. And not only does she have these 10 people, but that's probably about 20 emails from those 10 people, because the first email she's going to get is, can you click here to confirm that you want to be on this list, right? Because we're all GDPR compliant, right? So they're going to have that email first, and then the welcome email comes in, then the next thing comes in, right? And so one of the biggest mistakes people make is not personalizing that email, not making a connection. They don't acknowledge. I can tell you, I've produced a lot of summits. I've attended hundreds of virtual summits because it's part of what I do. And so I'm always looking and researching. And so I apply for summits. Like, I don't have a cat, but I would register for the cat summit just to see how they did it, right? Like, that is what I would do. And you know what happens every time? Out of hundreds of speakers' emails that I have subscribed to, like under 10 of them have actually said, hey, thanks for connecting with me at the cat summit. Most of them don't even acknowledge that I met them at a summit. So now I have these 10 new people in my inbox, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have 56,107 unopened emails in my inbox right now. That's the number that I have on my phone right now on my Gmail. Okay. 56,107. That's my number. Now, not everybody has that number. I know people whose numbers are bigger than my number. Okay. So let me just say that. But so not only are those 10 new people competing with each other, but they're also competing with the 56,000 other unopened emails I have in my inbox right now. And so come tomorrow, I may not remember their name. The number of people in my inbox, I'm like, how do I know this person? Did I actually subscribe to their list? Right? Like, so say, hey, thanks for coming to the cat summit. Reference it, because what happens is you just subscribe them to your general email, and your general email isn't talking about your summit. It's one of the biggest mistakes. Like, you have an opportunity, you have a captive audience. They've subscribed to your list because they were interested, but we all have thousands and thousands of messages coming at us on a regular basis. So you need to make a connection. And so you need to acknowledge how you know them, where you met them. That is going to make a huge difference, because what do they say? The fortune's in the follow-up, right? And if the fortune's in the follow-up, then they have to remember who the heck you are and how they know you, right? Like, you have to do that. So, so important. One of the number one things.
Definitely, because while you were sharing this, I definitely feel that happens with me also. Like, a lot of times you don't really subscribe because you are potentially interested in becoming a buyer of that particular brand or service, but you're actually learning from that particular brand, that what can you implement in your own business. So that happened with me as well. My personal email, my generalized email was filling up, and I was missing the important ones that I should actually be looking at. Maybe somebody from the bank or those kind of emails. I went ahead and cleared my inbox, unsubscribed from everyone, and I created an email just for the marketing purposes, because I know now this email is only for the stuff I'm supposed to learn from. So whenever I open that email, I know that this is the place where I just have to learn, and I would not be now missing the emails in my personalized inbox. So I've also done that, and I completely relate to what you're saying. So personalization, you open that email only when you see that, something is different. Because as marketers, you sense that what is that email intending to. So when you don't get that vibe, you're not going to click. So I definitely relate to it.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the other thing, like there are a handful of people that I've connected with, right? So there's a lot of noise in my inbox, but there are people that I've connected with that I will go into my email and be like, I don't think I've seen an email from Sarah lately. Let me like type in, it's got lost in the mix. I will type in the person's name and pull it up so that I can find the emails they've sent me. Even though I'm in marketing, I subscribe to a lot of different marketing type of emails. So even though that's what it is, they're so good. And I know this person, I've made a connection with them. So I look for their emails in the sea of 56,000 unopened emails so that they are not one of them. Right. And I do that. And there's only a handful of people I do that with, because not everybody has taken the time to truly connect with me and acknowledge how we know each other and make references to it. And like, there is not a lot of that happening, especially from a big event like a summit. There's so much noise happening. You definitely have to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, thank you for the lovely presentation that you gave around the summits. I think you were very detailed and precise about each and every information that you were sharing. I've like taken back home a lot of learning today. Isn't it, Liz? What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. And I think it's so timely because we're coming up to summer and there seem to be a lot of summits that are kind of coming up. And I think it's easy to go, oh, amazing summit, let's jump on it. And like you said, try and do it too quick. But taking that time to really focus on your goal and where you want to take it, I think is amazing. And that was a beautiful, sort of whistle stop tour through creating a summit. So thank you. Absolutely awesome.
Yay. I'm so glad. And yeah, I mean, I think that taking your time is really important when it comes to doing a summit, and not rushing through it, because the most important part of hosting this event is going to be the audience's experience and your speaker's experience. Those are two different markets there, but their experience with you and with your event is really going to impact how you connect with them in the future. It's a big deal. Yeah.
Also, Alice, I would have one question. Let's say, I was organizing a summit for my business, a virtual summit. And though you shared that, it would be a given advantage if you are able to pay out to the speakers. Let's say if I'm not able to, and I'm still creating a virtual summit, how would the exchange be? Like, also when, speakers come up, they potentially want to share their information and, kind of put in their information so that they're able to brand themselves. So what should be the exchange of information if it's not involving money? If you're inviting speakers free of cost, then what should be the exchange of information or value between the organizer and the speakers that are coming?
Oh, that's a good question. So it is going to depend. So I want to put that caveat in there because it depends on the industry. It depends on a lot of different factors, the level of speakers that you have in there. So there's a lot of variables in here, but a standard practice is, if you're going to sell replay tickets, is all of your speakers sign up as affiliates for that. And then they're able to sell the tickets and make affiliate income from the proceeds of the event. So they make as much as they promote. Now, there is a little bit of problem with that for people who have smaller lists, right? They may not make as much money as other speakers that have bigger lists and a more engaged audience, right? So that could be a problem. So one of the biggest benefits of a virtual event and gathering speakers, especially if there's no exchange of money, is going to be the opportunity to grow their list with all of the other speakers' audiences, right? Because you've got this very, this is a cat summit we're talking about here, right? So you've got the cat, and with the cats, all of the people that are speaking are talking about things related to cats. So all of their audiences are interested in cats. So that's a good chance that they're interested in all of the other speakers too. Not all of them will be, but a lot of them will be interested in many of the speakers. So it's an opportunity to make sure that your presentation is really great, because it is up to the speaker for that part of it, but allowing them to have a bit of a call to action. Some summits depends on your industry. Some summits allow you to sell from the stage, right? And just say, hey, this is my program and this is what it is. Some summits allow you to offer something for free to get them on your list. So you can also do that. So it really depends on the type of summit, but that's a couple of things that you could do. You could allow them a call to action on the registration page. You can allow them to directly link back to the person's freebie, their checklist, ebook, whatever they're offering. It could link directly to a program that they have. It could just be a link back to their website, right? TED Talks are like this, right? So they don't allow the speaker to sell or promote themselves or their products or services, but they say, hey, follow Manmeet on LinkedIn or on this, or here's their website, right? So you get that small call to action. And you just want to make sure that in that moment, those people are going to click maybe to your website. In that moment, you only have a few seconds to get them. So you want to make sure whatever website they're clicking to has a big, like maybe a giant call to action that really grabs their attention, is relevant, right? And so there's that. So audience growth, affiliate income can be an exchange in that way. Some basics.
I think that definitely puts a lot of sense into that. One more question I think I would have, a follow-up question, is that at what stage of the business do you think one should, look at organizing these summits? Like, for example, if somebody who's just starting out, maybe, branding themselves, putting out in social media, like the first new kind of coaches coming in, or maybe from any business. So what should be your audience size when you look at organizing these kind of summits? Like, is there a benchmark one should look at?
I mean, if you're brand new, if you're at the place where, like, from earlier, from Kevin's example, when he's talking about selling your course, you've never done it before, you have no audience, you have no nothing, but you have this course. And so you want to grow the audience. My biggest thing was, if you're interested in hosting a summit and you haven't attended at least like 3 to 5 events, then do that first. Like, work back, like do the research and see what other people are doing, and not to see what other people are doing because you're going to follow exact suit of them. See what other people are doing from the standpoint of, what tends to be the standard practice. What can I be inspired to do? Ask yourself when you attend an event, how could I do it better? How could I be better? How can I be more unique? How can I stand out? What didn't they cover, right? What could make this experience even better for me? So I tell that to people. If you're building a challenge, attend other people's challenges and see how they're running them, and figure out how can you make yours a better experience. What were the experiences you had when you were in that challenge or in that summit that you felt were like icky, right? And how can you change that icky feeling and make it better? So always do that, would be the first step. And then I don't think you have to have a specific size audience to do it, because what you are doing is you're bringing together a bunch of speakers and you're collectively then promoting it. And you can put yourself in a leadership position that way. You might want to try to apply and speak at other people's summits before you run your own as well. I always think having a bit of experience in that and taking those steps is good. But if you're really set on it and you're like, yes, I want to do this, and I know enough people in my industry are ready, then absolutely go for it.
All right. Thank you so much, Alice. That really helps a lot of people, I think. And if you're watching this live, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Alice is going to respond to them. If you will watch it on a replay, push the hashtag replay, and I'm sure Alice will help you out.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you all for the last hour. And I look forward to hearing from the next guest that I see in the studio. So these are some of my favorite people right here on the screen right now. So this is awesome. So have a fabulous rest of your day, everybody, and I will see you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
Over to you, Liz.
Okay, awesome. So the next part of our Day with Zenler is we're going to deep dive into Zen Zone. So we have got with us some amazing, amazing people, and we're going to be drawing on their experiences of Zen Zone. Okay.
Hi, Nicole.
Welcome, lovely, lovely guests.
I think my camera is dirty.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, Jim.
Hi, everybody.
Amazing. Okay, just checking that we are coming through on Facebook. Make sure that they can see.
This is
Yes,
really
I'll just refresh and check.
To make sure that we can see everyone.
Okay, I think have to pin everyone so that everyone is visible at the same time. I'll do
Awesome.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
You look a bit like the Brady Bunch.
Okay, just a second. And I think all of us should be visible now. I'll just take a look and check.
Amazing.
Okay, I'm not yet able to see if everyone is visible. Can somebody check for me?
Yeah, I'm
if
looking.
everyone is visible.
I've got such a delay. It doesn't matter. We'll go with it anyway. It's all good.
I see all of us.
Okay.
I see me.
Thank
Here
you.
we are.
Guys. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, yeah, amazing how the different delay is going around in the different areas that we're all in. Okay.
Welcome to a day with Zenler. Finally.
And thank you so much to all of you for being here. We really appreciate you taking this time, you know, to step in and join us on a day with Zenler. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Always good to be here.
Yes. Woo. Okay. So the first question for you, for each, like in turn, we can go around, I don't mind, is what is your favorite part of Zen Zone so far?
Should I go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. So I kind of wrote a few things of the benefits of the Zen Zone, but my favorite would be the emotional support, the camaraderie, and the friendship. So just that alone, you know, us as entrepreneurs, we tend to get in our head, especially if we're not working with other people and it's just us and we're in this, like, you know, little room of ours, you know, to maybe 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, you know, like it's just, we're working so hard. And, you know, sometimes we just need somebody to kind of, you know, say, yeah, I'm there. And the frustration, just even, you know, the frustration of entrepreneurship, you know, in the sense of, you know, creating a product or creating content and then having a tech issue. And it's just like you know, when flow is not happening, you need that emotional support.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing that and for being so open as well. And it's absolutely our pleasure to support you. Okay, Hannah, did you want to go next?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Number one. Okay.
Yes, we can.
To get things done, really, yeah, to get something done is fantastic. You are never belittled, or your question is not of no importance. And even as a beginner like me, to do lots of things manually because of a connection, it is super, super supportive. And I really do recommend that to everybody. I'm sure us, you, Manmeet and Liz, have been a tremendous support and help, even helping us to breathe, you know, when things get, because of all the issues and life happening around that. So thank you very much. It's a great benefit for everybody. And I'm so glad I can be heard. That's the most important thing. Thank you, people.
Oh, amazing. You're absolutely so welcome. Again, it's a pleasure to be supporting you with all of your creativity. And I'm so pleased that the connection is, you know, is working really well at the moment. So
absolutely. Even I was feeling that Hannah is able to, you know, put whatever she's feeling completely without any lags. And with that, we would like to share that, you know, Hannah has been like one of the top Zen Zone stars. She's been there like since the start. After a couple of times when she started joining in, she's been there in all the sessions, and she stays for the entire 3 hours. So definitely a big shout out for, you know, that commitment.
Yes, thank you. Oh.
Oh, amazing. And Jim, what is your favorite part of Zen Zone so far?
Well, cheering on and congratulating Hannah is part of it, because Hannah does more time in there than Liz and Manmeet combined. It's hilarious. It's brilliant. But what's my favorite thing about Zen Zone? I like the relationships building is good fun, and we can have the crack, and we can laugh at each other, and we can cry with each other sometimes. But what I like about it is the accountability. It's on, and if you don't get anything done this week, you know you're going to turn up at least once to Zen Zone and get a few hours done. And that, I think, is great, because I've got so many things going on. It's very hard to cut out a lump of time, especially for what I know I need to do, and I know I need to do it anyway. And the list just gets longer every week. It never really gets any shorter. You get more work done, but the list just grows and grows and grows. Not necessarily the email list, but the to-do list. So yeah, having that call that, you know, there's going to be a few people there, and they're going to be saying, "Oh, you didn't turn up today," so you got to show up. You just got to show up the odd time. Yeah, I think that's what I get. That's the biggest thing I get from it, is the accountability, the fact that I will go, because I know there's going to be people there, and it's there. That's what it's for, and I can at the moment. So yeah, use it or lose it, as they say.
Yeah, I love that. And again, like the accountability, it's such a huge part when we're all remotely working in these different areas. Yeah. As Nicole said, often on our own. It's amazing to have that kind of that co-working feel of being part of a team. And it was something someone mentioned the other day in the session, is that it's that support, you know, and as Jim was saying, building up the relationships that you're building like within there is like amazing. And it's a lovely, lovely feature, I think, that New Zenler offers you, like free. So it's all part of this awesome New Zenler package. So absolutely use it. Yes, Nicole.
Yes. So I forgot one more thing, actually. What I really also like is that you guys can be the guinea pigs for us. So if we want to test something, we can get some feedback. So I like that too.
Yeah, and we love that. We love being the guinea pigs. Gives us a sneak peek in what you're doing as well. So it's like extra insider information that we get to share, which is, yeah, is very cool. So thank you for sharing with us. It's amazing to be part of each of your journeys, and how you've each developed since we've begun Zen Zone has been amazing. It's been like a really nice experience to see, you know, as you're putting that time and investing that time in yourselves and your new Zenler work, to see how much you have done. So you all are awesome. So congratulations for everything that you're doing. And what I'd like to ask each of you is, what's your like biggest win so far from the Zen Zone sessions?
I'll start first. So I would have to say the biggest win, and only win for now, is that I created my website. To the, you know, that was the toughest part, just like getting, you know, a product on the internet. So yeah, I would say that would be my biggest win, just getting the website up. And that's it. Yeah.
But I feel, Nicole, that is like a big win. You can say that it's one win, but it's a massive
huge.
one.
It's
So
huge. Yeah.
I would definitely congratulate you for doing that.
Yes, thank you. I will say,
Well done.
thank you, Hannah. I was just gonna say, you know, David makes it look so easy with his like, let's just, all you have to do is do your site map, just plug it in. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, wait a second. Why is this taking me so long?
Pause that, rewind it, pause it, rewind it.
I'm like, what is going on? He's like simple as pie. You know?
Oh, and yet you're all getting quicker. Like the more you're doing stuff, you know, the more that you're practicing it, the quicker stuff goes and the more flow. And you are, Jim, you are. I see it. We all get to be as expert as David, you know, if that's what you choose to be. Yeah. So who would like to go next? Yeah. Go ahead, lovely.
Okay, I think for me, I really had a struggle to finish my bio and to get a grip on the mind map. So I really appreciate the lesson for today as well. And also the example that Kevin gave on the cat. I think it's hilarious to think, you know, your idea is not stupid, you know, whatever you want to do, it's fine. Just do it, you know. So next time I really need to do something, because not getting everything manually done now, but putting everything now on my site and getting that done now. Now the groundwork and the research is now good. So that's my next step.
Amazing. And yes, Nicole, I have to comment also on the beautiful backdrop, because I think that came up within a Zen Zone.
Yes.
Yes, yes. We have discussed this. We've discussed this background quite a few times, and I think this is my favorite. And to everyone who's watching, these are real shoes Nicole has. So yes. This is not a backdrop, or I mean, this is not a picture taken from the internet. These are real shoes that Nicole has. So I definitely love this picture of you know, Nicole with all those glittery bright shoes catching my attention.
It's a problem I have, but it's a nice problem to have, because I teach salsa, so this would be appropriate.
Yes.
And I'm sure everyone who's watching this might be saying, why don't we have this problem?
Yes.
Oh, amazing. And over to you, Jen.
Well, one of the biggest achievements I got from the Zen Zone was getting my challenge put together, my introductory challenge, which is basically a lead magnet to get people in. And once they complete the short challenge I put together, then hopefully they'll be interested enough in how I teach to buy the course. That's the objective of a lead magnet, you know. So I highly recommend to anyone that's new to Zenler or anything like that, if you're looking to get stuff done, you really need to get your name on the list for the Zen Zone. I mean, it's free, it's there for everybody. Just sign up to it. Even you don't have to come anytime, but you will want to. Trust me, you will want to. Just having a crowd that you can hold it up in front of and say, what do you think of this? And then people poke and prod and say, what about that? And what about that? And that's completely back to front, and that's mirrored, that's upside down. And you go, oh God, okay. And you get it and you put it right. And thankfully you do it in a friendly place, you know, and then when you do present it to the public, you're not embarrassed. So, because we all have that imposter syndrome, you know, we're all worried about what we're going to put up there. So yeah, definitely getting my challenge completed and running it for the first time among mainly Zen Zone participants, I might add, but it would never have happened if the Zen Zone wasn't there, to be honest. And it was in response to a challenge anyway as well. It was another Zenler challenge that got me to make the challenge in the first place. So it just builds on itself. It's a snowball effect. It's a bit like compound interest. It just keeps building on itself. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think you're right. It fits so nicely as a support to all the challenges and the boot camps that come up, because they spark your interest, they get you going with the skills. And then the Zen Zone's a safe, supportive space where you can build on the skills. You can actually do your challenge work within that Zen Zone space amongst lovely, lovely new Zenler users. Yeah. So my final question for each of you, and then also if there's any other comments that you want to share about your Zen Zone experience, then you can obviously as well. But it is, if you were, you know, as Jim was just doing then, to kind of, you know, suggest to share Zen Zone with somebody else, what would you suggest for them to prepare ready for their first session?
Well, I'll take that first then. I would say just have a goal before you get there. Think about it first, straight up, just decide I'm going to get this done, or at least get this started. And if your first goal happens to be creating a to-do list of things you need to get done, then any progress is progress. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. And who would like to go next?
For me, I will.
Mhm.
Okay. I agree with Jim. A goal is very important, but sometimes you are so overwhelmed you don't have a goal, and that's also okay, because then you come to the Zen Zone, especially as a newbie, and you just ask, okay, I'm stuck with this or that, and that eventually becomes your goal. And you get help how to break it down, or even get referred to, okay, watch that tutorial, or go do this or do that. So you will not get stuck. So if you don't know what a goal is, and you know, we have plenty like today with Zenler and other tutorials can teach you how to get that goal. And even Liz's mind map and Manmeet story time, you know, there are so many assets that we can use. So if you don't have a goal, just come, you know, just join us and do your thing and just get Zen zoning. Be happy and Zen zone on. Thanks, guys.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Nicole.
Okay, so I have to say, I mean, I did come here with a goal, but I, like Jim was saying, you know, accountability, and just, I think I was actually talking to you, Liz. You were one of the very first people I was talking to. I was just distraught about where I was, because you're like at the beginning, like Hannah was saying, you're at the beginning, even if you have a goal, you don't know if it's a right goal, if it's a wrong goal. And I think, you know, just in anything that you do, anything you decide that you want to do, you have to come in with a mindset of, actually, believe it or not, I think you shouldn't have a mindset of an outcome. I think you should actually have a mindset of being open to things changing and watching it grow. Like, you wouldn't have a baby and be like, you look like this and you're going to, like, you know, dress like this, and this is what's going to happen. So if you think of your project as a baby or a child that, like, grows, there is so many things that there are so many variables that you have to almost be open to uncertainty. And I guess the mindset that I suggest is be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Just bring that mindset with you to this, because this is going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It's going to be uncomfortable, but just go with the flow. And we are very thankful. I'm sure all three of us are very thankful to have the emotional support. Like, I full circle here, the reason why I love this group is because of the emotional support, the resourceful support, the accountability support that we get from, you know, Manmeet and Liz, you know, and as long as you have that mindset of not like having an idea of what you want, but being okay with things changing. For example, remember how hard it was to talk me out of the font color? I'm like, no, it has to be this way. These are my theme colors. And you're like, yeah, but like, it stands out more if you use white. And I'm like, no. And then I tried it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I okay. So
okay, let's come to a midway. There has to be a way where it's a little bit of my theme colors, where it's a little bit of your white, but we can come to a midway.
That's right. So just be open. That's all I have to say. Maybe you don't have to be prepared. Yes, a goal is good, but don't equate a goal with an outcome, right? Think of it as a kind of focal point, but you may be more surprised at what it actually turns into.
I couldn't agree more, because it will not be what you started with. It never is. As soon as you get into it, the whole thing, you start to see things differently. And then all of a sudden, what was supposed to be a 5-day challenge should have been a 3-day challenge, or a blog post, or a short story that you wanted to put on YouTube. It ends up being a blog post, which should have been a novel or a course on it, or a university degree, because you know, I started a blog post once and it was so broad, it was ridiculous. I called it How to Value a Share. And then I started writing. I was writing for weeks. And then I realized, like, how to value a share that's several courses. Like, there are different ways to do it. So yeah, it will never, what you start with will not be what you finish with. And be good with that, be happy with that, because, well, like you said, everything is growing and evolving, and it's a living, breathing organism, this thing, from the second you decide to do it. The only thing that actually goes from start to finish is you are doing it. That's it. Everything else is completely flexible. And
heaven forbid you take a course while you're doing this, because then you're like, maybe I should redo all this. Oh no. But I'm like, no. And so you'll see me this Saturday. It's still this Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll see me this Saturday, because I'm still gonna do it, but now knowing what I know, it's going to evolve into the ending of my course will not look like the beginning of my course.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel this is more of a Zen Zone conversation. I forgot that it's a day with Zenler. Unless I look at my background, I still feel this is a Zen Zone conversation being streamed live.
Which is perfect.
Well, you wanted to give the people an example of what you get with a Zen Zone. This is exactly what you get with a Zen Zone. And hopefully you get some work done as well. Most of the time we do. We usually cut the chat short. So, but there's always a few minutes for that too.
There's a little warm up and then we get to work straight.
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved how Nicole said, I think I loved your quote when you said that you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I think I'm going to stick with it, because it's just such a simple sentence, but so powerful. I think it is going to stay with me.
Woo. And Hannah, did you want to add something as well?
Yes, I think also that is important, the way that we encourage each other. And especially for Nicole, just to say, Nicole, keep on dancing. Doesn't matter what people say, you know, stick the blue on the floor and just go for it, you know. And for Jim as well, you know, keep on investing and do and teach what you want, because that is what you do. So keep on, people. Just keep on. Keep on connecting.
Keep on keeping on.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Emma gone. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And did any of you have any kind of last words you wanted to share about Zen Zone? And then I think I'm handing to Manmeet and she's going to share some of what you've been creating within your Zen Zones.
I was going to actually ask Hannah if her business is cheerleading, because she's awfully good at it.
Well, I am actually practicing what I'm going to preach. I first have to test my own classes on myself, you know, because it's like getting your creative spark back. And I need to do that first on myself. So for me as a teacher, I need to get my game together. So that's where I'm at.
That's
Sweet.
awesome. And Jim, did you have something that you wanted to share?
I think I thought I had covered it, to be honest. Definitely just have to shout out again to anyone that's on the fence about it. Get in, just join in. Even if you turn up for 20 minutes and leave, it doesn't cost you anything. It's worth a try. Give it a go, because you will make progress because of it. I'm sure of it.
As my yoga instructor would say, half the battle is just showing up.
Exactly.
For sure.
Okay. Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you. Amazing, amazing Zen Zone people. And Manmeet.
Thank you so much, Liz. You know, we love to call you our Zen Zone stars, because you are the ones that you have been super active and actually helping us believe that it can produce results, and it's a successful initiative that we've taken. And also, having said that, I would love to share what our Zen Zone stars have been producing, what they are doing, and what are they helping people with. So I'll just share the site link. Just give me a minute and my screen should populate. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
So that's what Jim has been doing. And all in our Zen zones, a lot of times Jim is helping us with his knowledge. He's sharing what we should do, what we shouldn't do. He helps people investing and helping them retire. He has a message, he has a story to share, that how you should have enough before you retire so that you do not have to work after your retirement. And here is his site, which is Investor Jim. Now, Jim is jym.com. You can definitely go and have a look and everything he has to offer. But one thing I'm sure, we all have heard him in Zen Zone and at his challenge as well. He has tremendous value to offer. So I definitely recommend going and having a look. And if you're interested in investing and the message that Jim has to share, definitely go and get connected with him. And we have our lovely Nicole right here with the lovely shoes in our background, because she's a dancer at heart. And that's what her message is. That is dance at your doorstep. She initially starts with, her initial message was to, reach people at their doorstep. Because of the entire pandemic, there's a slight change of the online classes coming in. And that's her site. That's dance at your doorstep.
You noticed by my course.
That's her side, wherein she helps you move a limb and, shake your body and become beautiful dancers. And she has different aspects as well. As when would you like to do that dance, in which situation. And I would definitely recommend, if you have the slightest of dance in you, just go out and check out and get in touch with Nicole. I do not have a site link to Hannah. Hannah, would you like to share the site link in the chat? And I would definitely want.
All right, I haven't published it yet, but it's just Hannah.Zenler.
Okay, I think we are losing you in between because of the net connection. You could type it on the chat and I'll read it out for you.
Chat.
Yeah. And I think before we move towards the end of the Zen Zone slot, I would definitely want all three of you to take a moment and share a few lines about what you do.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so people go to dance studios to dance, to learn to dance, right? And like I had mentioned, my yoga instructor told me half the battle is showing up, and that's really is the tough part. So I'm trying to make it very easy for me to show up at your doorstep, bringing the dance studio to you. That's essentially my business. And if it's not me personally, if you're like out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, then we can do it online. So there's no excuses.
Dance, move.
That's right. We need to. It brings, mental health, memory, physical health, just mood, dance, like any movement makes us happy. You don't see dancing people cry. Well, it depends if they've been drinking some wine.
I have one question that could be a silly question. If we come and dance with you, do we get those lovely shoes in the background?
Ooh, I might do it raw. It depends. What size foot are you?
That is a conversation we can have after the day with Zenler is over.
All right.
Over to you, Jim.
Well, what I do is I teach people that usually entrepreneurs and self-employed, anyone who's self-employed is going to need to be putting something away for later. I'm not talking about next week or next year, but way down the road. And the earlier you start, the better, because if you can get some money invested in businesses that know what they're doing, chances are it's going to grow. That's what I teach. I teach creators and entrepreneurs how to sort out their retirement now, sooner rather than later, because when you get there, if you don't have a corporate pension to feed you when you retire, you're not going to be retiring. It's as simple as that. And it's people in this area that need this the most, to be honest, because we're all self-employed, and if you're self-employed, you need to be doing something for later on, because there's no cavalry. There's no cavalry coming to save you when you turn 60, whatever. And I mean, most of us will probably never retire anyway, because we love doing what we do. But it will be nice to have the option. So if we don't sort it out now, it won't be an option. So yeah, check out investorjim.com and I'll teach you how the stock markets work and how you can make a little bit of money go a very long way.
Thank you so much, Jim, for sharing that. And Hannah has put in the chat, though her site is not fully published, but she's working on how to get your creative spark back. And she helps you with getting that creativity, coming in, working on your creativity again. So her site is not fully published. And once it is, I'm sure she'll be happy to share with you once the site is ready to launch. Over to you, Liz.
Fantastic. Thank you, Manmeet.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Anna.
just another massive thank you for showing up for yourselves in all the Zen zones and for being with us here in the Day with Zenler, just to share, you know, the fun, the support, and the big wins that you've all made through taking that time for yourself in the Zen zones. So a massive thank you. And sorry for the dog, he's whining in the background. So
He's
yeah,
cheering,
just a massive thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for showing up and doing this. We love you, and we would love to see you in all the future coming Zen zones.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
See you tomorrow in the Zen zone.
yes, see you tomorrow in the Zen zone.
Bye.
Bye. Amazing. Okay.
I think that was a lovely, heartfelt conversation. Just give me a moment. I'll just remove the pins. Yeah. Okay. Just a second.
Yeah, so another massive thank you to our super Zen Zone stars. Yeah, for being here and just sharing their experiences. Yeah, Zen Zone is amazing. It's definitely, you know, one of my favorite parts, because we get to be sort of almost one-on-one, you know, with that group in there. So it's been amazing watching their progress and just sharing in that accountability. So what have you loved the most about Zen Zone, Manmeet?
You know, like I said that day, that the thing about Zenler and about Zen Zone that I love is meeting people, building, you know, like Jim was sharing, like Nicole was sharing, building relationships. Now, you know, it was so easy to have that conversation right now. I mean, it felt just effortless. I don't know where the time went. I thought it will be like 15, 20 minutes and then we'll be talking about something else. But I don't know where the time flew. It was just like, you know, 4 people sitting in a cafe having a little chat about work. So that's what I love about Zen Zone, building relationships and, you know, trusting each other, having the trust that if I am suggesting something, it would be of value and it would be appreciated. It would be, you know, considered at least. So I think this is what I love about Zen Zone.
Yeah.
I would definitely, you know, Liz, I would definitely want you to dig a little deep into why did, you know, we came up with the idea of Zenler co-working. Like, why did we need a Zenler co-working?
Yeah, so I think, you know, some of our superstars have touched on those points already. And I think a massive part of it is that support. So, you know, we're all sat and we're kind of in our own individual little spaces. We're often stuck behind a computer. And I think you can easily get kind of lost in the work, lost in the course creation, and you can lose the perspective and really end up feeling quite lonely in that space. And I know we've got amazing resources at Zenler. We've got the tutorials, we've got the YouTube channel. So there's loads and loads of information that you can quite easily kind of just get lost in everything. And I think with Zen Zone, it gives you that kind of beacon. It gives you that space to really, you know, create your goal or turn up and work out what your next goal, what your next step is, you know, and whichever ways that come up for you are perfect, because each of our journeys are going to be completely unique. So I think it's having that space to be supported, that space to share and to grow, you know, to test out people's courses, to test out people's websites, and also have that accountability. So, you know, we've got 3 sessions a week and you might make 1, you might make all 3, you might make all 3, or you might make little sections. Again, whatever works for you is great, because it's some time that you're taking to work on your own stuff, because we all are serving other people. You know, that's the space that we're in. So to actually then create that time make that time and then turn up for that time. Like a huge win is just turning up in that session, and you know that you're going to get something from it. There's going to be a step forwards in some aspect of your work, however small it is or however big it is. So I think that's what we've created it for. Oh, amazing. And I think it's doing really well, you know, as those beautiful Zen Zone stars were sharing. They've had some great wins from it already. And we've only been going, you know, like a few months with it. So I think, you know, take us in the future, go a year after when we've begun, and imagine that extra work, that extra new Zenler work that we will have supported within that time. I think it's amazing. Amazing. And Manmeet is showing us how you can register for the Zen Zone. So super, super simple. You just go to tutorials.newzenler.com/courses. Ooh, lost it.
Just a second, I'll share my screen again. Just a
Amazing.
moment.
And walk us through. Perfect. Thank you. But yeah, so just going back to what people are saying, absolutely turn up and have a go. And if it's for you, brilliant, stay. And I know that you will get, you know, benefit from it. And if it's not for you, it's absolutely fine, but at least you've tried it. So I would definitely recommend that everybody turns up for a session or a small part of a session and just has a try. See how it's going to work for you, because it's going to be completely different for everybody, how it goes.
Okay, I think I'm logged in as an admin. First, I should log out and try to sign in again. Okay, just give me a second. I'll test it as a student and share my screen again.
And this is all
Okay,
part of the fun of being live. You know, you get to experience with us. This is us working with the system, you know, and sometimes there are little lags, and it's just keep going. It will always catch up.
Okay, I think I've been able to successfully drop in.
Awesome.
No, I think there's some tech issue with my system. Would you be able to share the screen, Liz?
Yes, of course. Let me just call.
Yeah, because I think there's a bit of tech issue with me.
No worries. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Oh, I got in the wrong place. So this is a tutorial section. So it's tutorials.newzenler.com. So if you haven't already registered for that, absolutely get into it, because it's really, really supportive. We've got loads of information. We've got the on-demand section, and that's where you're going to find the quick start guide. So if you're new to New Zenler, jump in here first. And also if you've had a bit of a break, so you may have purchased New Zenler a while ago, then jump back in here, because there will be definitely some updates in there. We then have the complete guide to Zenler here, which you can go in, and there is, you know, a good search area within there. For you just to have a look, as Kevin was saying earlier, on certain subjects, if there's something that you want to go into. And down the bottom, where I was just scrolling down, we've got the Zen Zone area. So if you are already signed in, so you've already registered on the tutorials, the other way you can get there, and there's a link to this always in the Facebook group, which obviously you guys are in because you're here with us live today on the Day with Zenler. So if you go into Facebook, and then if you go into events, then the Zen Zone session is always there. So it's there every week, and there'll be one event for that week. And within there, it will detail the times of each of the sessions for that week. And our next session is indeed tomorrow. So that will be 5:30 BST. Each of the sessions is 3 hours. And then if you come here to tutorials.newzenler.com/courses/Zen, the little hyphen, and then zone, then it's going to bring you to this landing page. So this is if you haven't already registered for Zen Zone. So if you go down, then you've got a little tiny introduction, which just runs through a brief sort of explanation of what Zen Zone is. And then we've got here, enter the Zen Zone co-working. So if you know you want to join, you want to give it a try, then you just click on this bar here. And then as you scroll down, we just go through a little bit of the like the detail behind Zen Zone, which we've discussed a lot here. So they're 3-hour co-working sessions. So there will always be a member of the team there. At the moment, that's usually me or Manmeet. And then it's a great way to supercharge your focus and productivity. And within that session, there have also been, you know, from that session where you do that 3 hours of work, I know from listening, you know, and sharing with the other people that are attending the Zen Zone, that they then actually will sometimes, you know, continue to work on that project or that goal beyond the Zen Zone session. So the Zen Zone can be there just to get you started, to boost whatever goal, you know, you're working on, whatever piece of work, and just get you to take that first step. Because very often, that first step can be the trickiest. You know, you're kind of, you know, wondering where you should begin. So again, if you're not quite sure what your goal should be or what your next step should be, then jump into the Zen Zone anyway, and we can support you to find what your next step is. So enroll in the course. And then once you've enrolled in it, you'll be able to go through to the page and you can book your session. So as I said, we have 3 different sessions each week. And if I look, I should be enrolled already. So we have 3 different sessions each week that go. Okay. That run. So we have one on a Tuesday, and then we have one on a Thursday, and then we have one on a Saturday. And once you've registered in this page, you'll then get an email and you'll be able to jump through and book your next session. And also, as you may have seen very briefly there, is that once you're enrolled for it, here we go, you get the next upcoming sessions will be here. So you can just tick on the going, and then that will support you with a reminder of the very next session. Okay, and so here, and we've got this amazing time zone area here. So it will actually show the time zone for you. So it will show the sessions in your local time zone. So for me, obviously, I'm in Wales, so it's showing it to me in BST, but it will show the next sessions in your own time zone. And then you can just book into that next session. And then what will happen is once you've actually made that booking, you'll get an email, and you'll get a 24-hour email before the session, just to remind you that your session's coming up. You'll have an hour reminder, and then we're also going to be sending you one when we go live. So it makes it super, super simple for you to be able to just click through and jump into the Zen Zone session. So if you haven't tried it, absolutely jump in and give it a go. and see how it's going to support you to really boost your productivity, to get your work done. And again, you know, as everyone was saying, the accountability is amazing, because sometimes, you know, it can be easy to just get a little bit demotivated, but jump into a Zen Zone session. We're able to, you know, pick you up a bit. We're able to help you find out what that next step is. If you're not sure, if you're doing a bit of procrastination, a bit of overwhelm, anything like that, jump in, because we're here to support you. And, you know, we're part of your wider like New Zenler team. The education team is here for you to get the very most out of your New Zenler work. So do jump in and join us. And I'll just quickly share with you also, as I'm here, the YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't been in, jump in, hit the bell, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get all of the updates, because there's a lot of information which is exclusive to the YouTube channel. So jump in here, subscribe. We have so much information. So we have Zenler breaking news. All of the Zen pop-ups are popping in here as well. We've got loads of how-tos. We've got, you know, different all-in-one course platform reviews. We've got pro user interviews, so much. And obviously also we've got the day with Zenlers, so they are all here. So if you want to go back and binge watch things, absolutely do. And then just going back into the Facebook group, just to show you again, we've got the featured area at the top. So we're in there at the moment, we're pinned live. And then if we go to more and then to events, that's where you will find obviously Day with Zenler sessions now, and the Zen Zone co-working also is there. And I believe, yeah, we've got a Zen Chat Live coming up soon, and then obviously office hours as well. So that's a little quick tour around the education resources. Amazing. So we're nearly at the end of Day with Zenler. This has been absolutely awesome, and it's been amazing to have so much of the team involved with us today. And we even had, you know, that Zen pop-up link that we went into, you know, just with David, just to have his face in here too, in his Day with Zenler baby. So how have you found today, Manmeet?
Absolutely amazing, and I think overwhelming, and it was beautiful. I think, like you mentioned, that, you know, just having David in that Zen pop-up link, so practically I can say that the entire education team was there on a Day with Zenler. Once in a, you know, like after a long time, all of us were there in a Day with Zenler. Also the special element where we had our Zen Zone superstars coming in and having a little chat. So I think it was completely beautiful, and a lot of potential information that could really help coaches moving forward in their journeys was actually shared today. And if you implement whatever works the best for you at this point in time, whatever is your priority, if it is setting up your, you know, goals with your mind mapping, or if it is, you know, already there in the process and they've decided that they want to become a coach and putting their courses out there in the process of making a sale, or if somebody is a little ahead and they want to, you know, do their virtual seminars, like whatever journey you might be on, there's something for you today that you can take home and start implementing and working on it. How about you, Liz?
Yes, I love it. Well, I've loved that, you know, the team's been together within here. I love that we were able to pull in you know, some of our amazing Zen Zone superstars, and that we were able to give people a taste of what Zen Zone is, because I know since we launched it, that's been the big question, and we can talk about it, and we can put the quotes in there, you know, and people do the reviews, but to actually have live, just, you know, a little snapshot, this is the support that we give each other, you know, and to share some of those wins, I think, you know, that's been a big highlight. And yet just starting this morning with the like the announcements that Rakesh gave, and then the exciting upcoming you know, developments, that was amazing. And I know that there's huge things in there that people are really excited for. And then, you know, going on to Kevin's session, selling our first course. I mean, someone coming into New Zenler for the first time or just at that point where they've actually got the confidence to now go ahead and start to sell, to have that process, you know, so simple to begin with, was beautiful. And then obviously your awesome session as always. Again, so supportive
much.
for people. You're so welcome. And again, you know, if people are just beginning or just actually pushing themselves to take that first step to get that site up, super simple. You can begin, and then, you know, as we've covered, I think it's been a theme the whole day, start your foundations, and then it's going to build. You're going to get the momentum.
Yes.
And then, you know, you've got this amazing thing that you're going to move forwards with. So I think, yeah. And then we had Alice's, like the summit, the virtual summit, and New Zenler is amazing. There's so many resources, so many different ways that we can share our wisdom, our support with our audience. Yeah, just brilliant. I think it's amazing. And definitely there is something in today for everybody to draw on, if not multiple things.
I think you've, I did not notice it. Now that you've said it, I think I'm giving a thought to it, that actually everything about today was a theme. Like it was about setting the foundations right. Even I talked about, when you initially start out, what should you do? Kevin was talking about when you initially start out, what should be the things that you should be taking care of. And then of course, Alice was also, in some way talking about when you're building up that virtual summit, when you're planning it in the very initial phases, what should you do? And even your mind mapping amazing session was about doing the first initial bits. So more or less the entire day was about foundations, and I never realized it.
It's meant to be. And obviously we've set like a new foundation, because I think David has traditionally done these, and we've now sort of changed it a little. We've come in and we've taken a session. So yeah, all the time we're setting new foundations, we're adding new things. New Zenler is expanding. We're part of the expanding team. Yeah, exciting times.
Absolutely. I think I'll just take a look at the chat if there is any questions, if there are any thoughts. Let me just refresh the page. I don't think there are any at the moment. If you happen to watch it live, you can put in your questions. And if you are watching this on a replay, put in your question with the hashtag replay to whatever session you're listening to. And all of us would like to come in and answer your doubts and help you through your courses and your sites to achieve more and more and to be more productive. We are here for you, and New Zenler will always be there for you.
Yes. We are part of your extended team, support team.
Yes, exactly. So that's the Team Zenler signing off for today, for June's Day with Zenler. And I hope you've had a lot of fun throughout the day. And I would really like to say we've dearly missed you, David. Waiting to have you back on a Day with Zenler. So thank you so much, everyone, for all the support, for all the love. Hope you've had a lot of fun and got a lot of value. Thank you so much. This is both of us signing off.
Thanks, guys. Bye.